We are live. Hello, everybody. Today's going to be a great episode. I am here with my most bestest friend, Luke Deckard.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Speaking of dolls, so explain yours.
So this is my Hulk from from childhood. My sister came to visit and she brought a whole suitcase of my childhood toys and Hulk was in there. I got it in the mid 90s, 96, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. And yeah, it's from the 1990s cartoon, Hulk cartoon. I love it. This is the only Hulk I've ever owned. And I've always loved it. I think he looks like a darn good Hulk.
Hang on, let me put you the big screen.
Big screen Hulk.
Yes.
And to be fair, I've kept him in pretty good condition.
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
Like I've always been good about not trying to muck up my figures. His face has a little bit of
a little paint scuff.
But yeah, in general, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, these are mine, audience. These are from the Eric Bana 2003 film. Hang on, let me get my face out of there.
Eric Bana.
Yeah, Eric Bana. Maybe I should make it full screen too, so everyone can see.
Yeah.
Solo. I'm going solo. There we go.
Solo.
Ooh, what's going on? This way. Yep. So this one came. Oh, hang on. This one came with something to like make him bounce, like in the movie, because in the movie he bounced hugest thing. Yes. So he came with like a little bungee cord thing. I took it off because to me this was like the most accurate version. Mm-hmm. And then later on, this figure came out, which had a much better likeness to the movie. The face.
Yeah.
That's a great likeness to the movie, but the shorts are inaccurate.
Yes.
But this is like I think this was the most accurate one when the action figures came out because it had the purple shorts.
Yes.
And all the articulation. But the face is off. Like if this one, it's like that old Conan O'Brien and Timothy Olyphant. If your face was on his body. There was a story where they went to a restaurant, Timothy Olyphant and Conan, because they're best friends. And this woman came up, said like, oh my God, if your brain was in his body. And she was referring to Conan's brain in Timothy Olyphant. And they both felt like shit afterwards. Oh my God, I love that. Okay, Hulk. So we're here to talk about Hulk. We showed off our action figures. And I think the first question to start out is, what got you to Hulk? What was the thing that got you into Hulk?
Yeah, I think when I think hard about it, I think it was the 90s cartoon. The 90s cartoon was never on, because I think we talked about this on a previous stream, but I used to be a good little church boy. I used to go to church on a Sunday, and Hulk was always on a Sunday. So I had to, set the VCR to record it.
Yes.
And so I would record it and I would watch it kind of sporadically. And I actually think I probably found the show kind of by accident. I think I was recording something else, like must have been like, I love the Jumanji cartoon. I love Men in Black. I was just recording cartoons that were on when I was away, and I'd watch them. I think that's probably how I came across it. But I loved the cartoon. I loved everything about it. I also really loved the Bill Bixby. Is it Bixby? It's Bill Bixby, right?
Yeah, Bill Bixby, the TV show.
Yeah. Right? I always liked the Bill Bixby stuff. I remember borrowing the VHS from a friend and from the library and watching that movie lots of times. So I've always had an appreciation for the Hulk. I wouldn't call it a love, but an appreciation for the Hulk. He's always been there. He's always been in the background, and I've always liked him, but I've never been like super in love with the character, and I'm not sure why. But my Hulk trauma is that I remember in the 90s cartoon, there's a moment where the gray Hulk emerges at one point. And it's the last episode I ever saw, and it was to be continued. And I've never known what happens next. Of course, it's all on Disney Plus, and I could just go look.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened after that, and I've always wondered what happens after that. That gray Hulk emerged. But that's mine.
Yeah, it's kind of fun just to leave it open ended. You don't want to know.
I know.
That's always like the mystery. That's so cool. For me, I don't know what came first. It was either the comic book I got from the flea market or because the comic book, it was like a weird, like one issue where he was in like Antarctica and he had to fight this dude who was like a burn victim or something in a blue suit. I don't even know the villain's name, but he was like working with S.H.I.E.L.D. Hulk was working with S.H.I.E.L.D. It was Smart Hulk. Professor Hulk.
Right.
And then I do remember watching a VHS my cousin had. It was Hulk versus like the Hunchback of Notre Dame or something.
Ooh, weird.
It was like a weird 70s one. It was like the cheap Hanna-Barbera kind of animation. It might have been even worse than it. It might have even been like, what's his name? That cartoon where they put the fake mouths to it. Oh God, I forgot the character's name. But it's it's in Pulp Fiction. You know what I'm talking about. There's an old cartoon like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was either that, and then there was another issue I picked up later on from that Hulk issue where he fought the guy in the blue suit, and Hulk had to fight the X Factor team. So there was like Strong Guy and Havoc, I believe, and he had to fight them, and he had like this big giant like freaking belt of bullets on him, and he had like gas canister guns. Yeah, and he was Professor Hulk in that one as well. But I was a fan of that.
Did you like Professor Hulk?
I think I did, because even now I'm looking up figures to get like you know how your old Hulk figure is. I'm looking to get that one where, because to me that's the iconic look of Hulk. That's because I started out with that, where he has that black tank top with the blue purple pants, I should say. Sometimes they're brown, but I think they're mostly purple pants with his black tank top. And to me, that's sort of like an iconic look, because he even has that sort of cool haircut where he's like bald on the sides and like hair on top.
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
yes.
I got a Facebook like, so the Facebook's working. Yes.
All right. Facebook. Hello, people on Facebook.
Yes. Yes.
Finally.
But yeah, I started there with the Hulk, and I saw like one episode of the Hulk animated series because I was terrible with time as a kid, because I figured I'll just put on the TV and whatever's on is on, and I assumed it's going to be on. It wasn't like that at all. But it was, the issue I saw was the Wendigo, where it's like the Native American is telling Hulk about the Wendigo, and he has to fight the Wendigo. That was the only episode I ever saw in the cartoon. And then I did have a Hulk action figure when I was little, but like I played with him a lot where his leg fell off. So now I know I still have him somewhere. He has a Hulk with one leg, and it's from the animated series. And he has a blue pants on with a white shirt that's ripped, and that's the one I have. But yeah, I was a Hulk fan before this movie.
That rings a bell. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna see if I can find it. Hulk 90s toy blue shirt. Let's see what comes up. Go to images. There's one with a white shirt.
It's not the huge one, because there's a huge one. I did not have the huge one. It's more smaller. Oh, dude, I even had. Speaking of which, I don't know if it came out before the movie. Yeah, but I did have the first Marvel Legends Hulk. Okay, you know how they had the first Marvel Legends line where it was like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and I believe Toad for some reason. But I had the Hulk of that with the rubber fingers in the face that was like, okay, I had that one.
Yes, yeah. I never had any Marvel Legends, like original Marvel Legends. Really? I didn't get into them until I think like 2016. I remember going to like when I was in uni, I'd go to Forbidden Planet and I would see them on the shelf, and I'm like, oh, I really want this, but I was a poor student, which is my life. And
Peter Parker,
right? And I'm too similar to Peter. It's quite depressing. But yeah, they had like the Wolverine that were like they were starting to do those, and I was like, those are cool, but they were all just
we had the base and everything. Yeah.
And so it wasn't until like 2016 that I started splurging and getting some of these figures, mainly because they had some really cool versions of Wolverine, Cyclops, and Deadpool, and I think it was Storm. But yeah, Storm. All inspired purchases. All these purchases were inspired, of course, by Anthony.
Of course, Anthony. I was trying to find it. I thought I did, but I don't have it. I did find it though, and spoilers for my unboxing volume 2. But I did find my Ben Affleck Daredevil, which is battle damaged. I put some red ink on him. It was so funny because there was this era of middle school. Yeah. Is it even it might be even elementary school, 5th, 6th grade, where I discovered food coloring. So I would be like, oh my God, Ben Affleck got beat up. So there's some action figures I have that have food coloring on them from that era.
My Kingpin, I have a Kingpin figure that's buried in a box over there. That would be too difficult to get out, but it's from the 90s Spider-Man. And I just thought it would be fun to draw red blood on his face and put an eye patch on him. I don't know why I did that. I'm annoyed that I've done that, but I did.
It was fun at the time. It was fun at the time.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about the movie now. Let's get into that. Should we talk about the movie, for like how we saw the movie, or should we talk about the reviews before the movie?
Let's talk about how we got into the movie first, and then we can. Yeah. You go first.
Okay, so of course at this time, I think I explained it in a recent episode of the Ireland Collection, where movies were event films, and Hulk was definitely one of those event films. This is one of those movies when they still filmed teaser trailers, special teaser trailers for the movie, because the teaser trailer for this movie was Eric Bana shaving, and then Hulk busted through the bathroom and out the house, and it said Hulk.
Yeah,
I remember that clearly. Yep, and then this was right after Spider-Man and X-Men.
Yeah, Spider-Man had come out. X-Men 2 was coming out. I can't remember what the exact release date, but X-Men
it was like the same year.
Yeah,
same year.
Spider-Man was the year before. Spider-Man was 2002, and Spider-Man 4 was coming out. Spider-Man 2 was coming out the next year. So it came out in that sweet spot of like really good Spider-Man, really good X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that interesting time because I was watching the movie last night, the Hulk movie, and it made me realize like it just shot like a bolt of lightning. I was like, oh, duh, obviously. But I think the reason why there was like a boom of superhero movies around this time is because of 9/11. People wanted a hero, but they didn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to support the United States, or I'm going to support a cop, or I'm going to support like, EMT or something like that, or firefighter or a soldier. I think everyone wanted that sort of like hero because this movie inspired me to get a subscription to the Hulk comic. And I remember there was like issues that were totally inspired by like 9/11. Like there was like, because it was like with the subscription, like I remember they would advertise the call about EMTs and paramedics and police officers. And then I remembered, because when I got the Hulk comic, you could get like the Avengers comic for free or whatever for a couple of issues. And the issues I got of the Avengers comic, which is like a small run, it was like maybe 6 or 7 issues. And it was about how there was like this gas leak at Mount Rushmore as a terrorist attack by the Red Skull. And everyone got affected by it. And even like She-Hulk got affected by it because it made her angry, but it made everyone like die or have like illness. And they had to find a cure for it. And I remember like Red Skull was there. He was the bad guy because there was this general or this guy in the government called Del Rusk. And when they rearranged the letters in his name, it was Red Skull. I was like, oh my God, you guys. Oh, we got someone.
I hate that.
But that was there. And then, but yeah, this movie sort of, what do you call this? Is that a word? Like jumped me into the comics, like springboarded me into the comic books.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, I like the Hulk. I'm going to get the Hulk books.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, Diggs.
Hello, Diggs.
By the way, 7. I don't know what BTW stands for. I'm not that cool.
Yeah.
Whatevs. Hello.
I think you need. Hello.
Yeah. What I was trying to look up when like production started on the Hulk, because I'm curious.
Oh, like 1990.
Yeah. Okay. So it was. It's curious. Yeah. So it was rewriting the script in October 2011, blah, blah, or 2001, not 2011. It's my stupid dyslexia coming out. That's really fascinating. I do wonder if there's a correlation between that or between the Hulk coming out and like superhero films and 9/11 versus and or was it just the fact that X-Men was such a hit? Because X-Men 1 was a big hit.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man
was Blade.
Blade.
So was Blade.
Yeah. So you had Blade was first, X-Men, then Spider-Man, and it was like Hulk seemed like a pretty popular thing. So I'm curious to know what.
I definitely think so though, because even if it wasn't 9/11, it was definitely the war in Iraq that totally made the US look bad. Or I should say like the government look bad. So then that's why I feel like even towards the late 2000s, Iron Man, Hulk, all those started coming out more and it started focusing more on the superhero rather than the actual person being a hero.
Yes. Yeah. Because the funny thing is like in most, but it's interesting though, because in most of those movies, the government still doesn't come out looking good.
No, because the Hulk definitely does not. Yeah, the government looks bad in the Hulk.
Yeah. So yeah, so I when I think back to when I was back to 2003, I remember this coming out. I remember the big, brouhaha. The new Hulk movie was coming out, X-Men was coming out, but I
Mhm.
was always. It's weird because I love some of these movies, but a huge chunk of them I didn't actually get to see in the cinema.
Hmm.
Because there wasn't a cinema in the small town where I grew up. I had to go. It would be the next town over, which meant I had to
Mhm.
rely on my parents. Um, there there was stigma about the X-Men because X-Men was like evolution and blah blah blah. Uh,
That's right, because you're a good boy going to church on
right.
Sundays.
So I wasn't really
Yes.
allowed or meant to be watching X-Men when I was a kid. So I'd always sneak and watch the cartoon and things like
Hmm.
that. Um, and so yeah, so going to see superhero movies wasn't a thing that interested my parents, and therefore was not really a thing that I went and did. I think the only time I saw Batman Forever and Batman and Robin in the cinema.
Hmm.
Batman Forever I saw with some friends. Batman and Robin I don't remember who the hell I saw that with, but those are the only superhero movies that I remember as a kid going to see.
Hmm.
The Marvel movies, they seemed those early ones. I never really got to experience them, which was
Hmm.
disappointing.
Yeah.
So I was there for the whole hype, but I never got to see it in the cinema. And I
Hmm.
remember watching it a few years, maybe it was a year or so later. It was on
Mm.
TV.
Okay.
We're at my sister's house, and they're like, "Oh, this Hulk movie's coming on. Should we watch it?" And we were like, "I was like, yeah, sure." I wanted to see it because I'd never seen it, and yeah, so we put it on and watched it. So we're watching this film on just kind of normal television,
Hmm.
which the film is already it's kind of long. It's like 2 hours
Hmm.
and a bit and some change,
Yeah. Hmm.
but when you're watching this on television and there's commercials,
Oof.
this 2 hour movie becomes 3 hours long.
Yes.
So it was interesting to me because there were bits I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, but gosh, this is really long. But it was so long because of the trailers, but not the trailers, because
Yes.
of the commercials.
Commercials. Yeah,
Yeah.
commercials.
And I remember because I ended up watching this with my sister, brother-in-law, parents, and the general sort of reaction to the movie was like it was a mixed room. There wasn't anyone who loved it,
Mm.
but there wasn't full on hate either.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of my first experience with watching the Hulk was that was kind of overly long, a little bit silly. I didn't fully love it at first.
Hmm.
That's my initial experience with
Yeah.
2003 Hulk.
I think I definitely know me. I liked it, and my mom knew I liked it
Yeah.
because she got me the action figures. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, I was saving this for the show because these are the legitimate OG ones, not the new ones.
Oh
The Hulk
shit! Yes.
gloves. These
Oh
are the original ones. These aren't those stupid cloth ones that they made soon after. These are the like legitimate like first wave of like
yes.
foam rubber ones. I didn't change
Yes.
the batteries out because I'm sure these are all like rusted. These are like freaking 20 years old at this point. But yeah, this is so cool. I still have these and they're still in great shape.
They are in good shape. I remember there was a band that I loved and still enjoy called Family Force 5. And at all of their live shows, the lead singer he had the Hulk glove painted silver and he drilled a hole
Ooh.
so he could have the microphone shoved inside of it. So he would be singing out of the giant that Hulk glove. It was so cool.
They do sell these because I remember I saw some orange ones that actually have it built in for your can of beer
Oh
at
my
football
god,
games.
that's awesome.
And I think that's for like the Cleveland Browns because it's like an orange glove. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are good. Like it's a shame because I do like the Hulk, but this is all I got.
Oh.
This is all I got.
There's so many good figures too. I wonder if
There
I have one
are.
over here.
Yeah.
I wonder if I still have it. Hang on. Let's see if I can
The
dig
other
them
thing
out.
that really sucked is like growing up, there also wasn't a comic book shop in my small town. And like you kind of think that there would be, and it would have been like profitable, but there weren't any comics in my town, which meant that it was also really difficult for me to find them, which is
Yeah.
probably why I have such an affinity for the cartoon, because those were my gateways into all these characters. Oh, look at
This
that!
is definitely a Marvel Legends. This is definitely one.
Oh, I love that. I love that sort of Frankenstein look that he's got.
2005.
Wow.
Yeah. This one's still in good shape. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Frankenstein, we'll get to that later, but there's definitely elements of Frankenstein in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing before we get, like, I feel like Columbo. And one more thing before we get to the movie. I believe, you know how I always say, like, I didn't own X-Men?
Mm-hmm.
But I did own Spider-Man, but those were on VHS. I believe Hulk was my first DVD. I think it was in the first batch of DVDs my mom got me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do have a connection with the Hulk. Means a lot to me.
Yes.
Hulk is family.
I love that. Speaking of first DVDs, because now it's just popping into my head. I was thinking about what was mine. I think it was Mission Impossible 2.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We gotta save that for. I know that
another day. But yes, actually,
we want to talk about the whole series.
It was at Christmas. I got Mission Impossible 2. I think I also got The Fugitive and Mission to Mars.
Oh yeah, that one. It's Gary Sinise, right?
Shit movie.
Yeah.
And we rewatched it the other day. It was on Disney Plus. I was like, Claire, let's watch it. It's gonna be fucking hilarious. And like, it was so bad. But that's a conversation for another time. But it was just It's really not aged very well, and it's dumber than I remembered.
Yeah, we definitely have to do a Mission Impossible episode because after seeing who's going to be in the new one, I'm like, dude, I have to rewatch the whole series now because I'm sure this is going to be like a whole like member berries for the new Mission Impossible.
Yes, they've got to bring back people from 2. Someone from 2 has to come back.
Anthony Hopkins, that'd be so dope.
I was thinking that him or Billy, the Australian agent.
Yes,
they won't bring back Naya.
No. Because didn't she have like problems on set or something? I think there's some controversy.
I think I remember something about that.
Like she wanted a break, and like Tom Cruise was like, "No, we're not taking any breaks," or something like that. It was something weird. And I'm like, "Yeah, but it kind of checks out though," and it kind of just made her sound like I don't know, whiny baby. I don't know. I forgot what the story was completely. Allegedly. Alleged. Okay. So now, do we talk about the movie or do we talk about the reviews?
Let's talk about the movie. Because
the movie
or the reviews. We can. I think it'd be fun. Let's look at some of the reviews first.
Okay.
So
yep.
I pulled up Rotten Tomatoes. So it's interesting. Rotten Tomatoes has 238 reviews together, and in total, it's a 62%. So it's technically fresh. It's technically fresh. The audience score out of 250,000 ratings.
Oh, jeez.
Is a 29%.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Even I don't believe that because I thought this was gonna be like a 50-50. Like, some people either you like it, you don't like it.
What's interesting on IMDb, it's a 5.6 out of 10, and that's more.
So that
50.
is
yeah. But on Rotten Tomatoes, people really don't bloody.
Why? After rewatching it, I found more to appreciate it actually, which was weird. Yeah. I was not anticipating that.
No. It's interesting because like also down under it says you might also like looking like X-Men 3 is 57% critics and 61% audience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm like, that's still like in terms of quality. It's weird that Hulk is so low, but X-Men 3 is still positive.
Here's the thing. I understand because I'm average Joe dummy, or at least I think I am. I am just Rich Evans. I'm average everyday man. I'm Rich Evans. But I think X-Men 3 has more action. It keeps the audience awake. Yeah. There's more sequences. It has a naked Rebecca Romaine Stamos in one shot.
It does.
So there's stuff there. But with Hulk, it's kind of boring. It is like an independent film.
This is
done as a superhero movie, and the action isn't really there. There is some action, but it's more like it's not like action packed. Yeah, it's almost. But the good thing about the action, it's very tame, and it's funny enough is like the action does support the story. Funny enough,
yes,
like it does. It's no more than the story needs. The action is there for what it needs, and like. I understand why X-Men has a hire rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think you raised a good point. Captain Iron Dog, I love that.
Uncultured Swine's at 26%. It's true though.
a few different reviews.
Yes.
So here's one. Even if Lee would have wanted to write, okay. Here we go. Here's how the game can work. You can tell me if this is a good one or a bad one. It's
Okay.
probably easy to tell, but we'll see. Even if Lee would have wanted to rise above the simple two-dimensional universe of the comic books, his portrayal remains just as flat.
That's definitely bad, isn't that
Yeah.
Roper?
No,
like
that's
Roper.
someone from a top critic from Outlook.
Oh, damn.
The Hulk lacks personality. Not a great movie. That's clearly a bad one.
That's a bad one.
Where so many comic book movies feel as disposable as Kleenex, the passionate, uncynical Hulk stamps itself into your memory. Lee's movies are built to last.
That's a good one because it's built to last.
An enjoyable summer behemoth from the Chicago Reader.
Oh, we should set the table. So 2003,
yes.
Terminator 3, X-Men 2, Curse of the Black Pearl, Scary Movie 3, Big Fish, House of a Thousand Corpses, Cat in the Hat, The Core, Kill Bill Volume 1, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Matrix Revolutions and Reloaded, Hunted, Tomb Raider 2, The Rundown, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake, Freddy vs. Jason. This is a packed year.
Yeah.
Holes, Freaky Friday. Dude.
Yeah. Those are that's a dark. Wait, Freaky Friday.
2003. Yep.
Wow. That makes sense. No, that does make sense because I remember it in 2004. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good year. I mean, Ocean 11, Pirates 1. It's Pirates.
Mystic River, Bad Boys. Oh, not Bad. Bad Santa. Out of Time, Santa. Dude, what a year.
You know, some of I feel like 2000 like 3 and 4 were a couple of really great years for movies. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I think that was kind of that last couple of years where we just had just a whole bunch of generally pretty good and different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel we've had that sort of year in a very long time.
We've had some close ones. I think, if I recall, 2012 was a year that had a bunch of different movies.
There were some good ones.
Yeah, like I know you don't like Dark Knight Rises, but a lot of other people do. But I think that was like one of the big things of 2012.
Yeah, I was into the hype. Oh, that was 2011, but I was into the hype of the Dark Knight.
Oh, it was 2011? Oh my God! Yeah. Wow,
I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, Prometheus was 2012. That's right, and so was Avengers. So that was still like a big
and
year.
And Skyfall. He had Skyfall as well.
That's right. Yep.
In there. Great Gatsby. That might have been 2011. So. That might have been 2012, but it's in that period. There were a few. That was a decent year. Yeah.
13 Gatsby.
Yeah. This one is funny to me. Lee and Seamus. Is it Seamus? Anyway.
Probably Seamus.
Yeah, Lee and Seamus try on film genres like Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bill tries on human skin.
That's bad.
I know, right? Gee whiz.
Why are they so bad? Okay, we have to talk about the movie now. We have to talk about it because these are bad reviews. I don't understand how bad. Oh, hang on.
One more. Eric Bana is bland to the bone, but the Hulk is a sight to behold. He is like a giant child out of control in a raging tantrum. He leaps and bounds on pile driver legs, and at rest his face has the innocence and wonder of an infant. Is that a good review or a bad review?
It sounds like a good review because they're praising the Hulk. But it's so weird, though, because Eric Bana is supposed to be dry toast in this. That is point. That is the point. Yes. Oh, my God. Because if you look at the
positive review, but it's interesting. I mean, like, Bana is bland to the bone, but the big CGI thing is fine. Positive review.
That is, like, it boggles my mind. Because, okay, let's get into the movie. Because Eric Bana is supposed to be boring. He is supposed to be, like, not a guy who goes out there. He's not a chance taker. He's very inward. He's very what's that word? Introspective. Yeah. Because if you look at the bottom corner, introverted. Because if you look at the bottom corner here, we got Josh Trank, or not? What's his name? Not Josh Trank. The Home Depot guy.
Poor man's Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, poor man's Matthew McConaughey. The guy from Let me pull up.
It's Josh Lucas. I've got it right here.
Josh Lucas. There we go. Yeah. See, even he's sort of like that bland dude. I can't remember, but still, that Josh Lucas is supposed to be like the testosterone man. He's the go-getter. Yeah. He's the competition to Bruce because he's a more manly man. That is the point.
How do you feel? Maybe this is jumping the gun. I don't think so, but how do you feel about this character, this Talbot character that Josh Lucas plays? He felt very unformed and sort of one-dimensional. I didn't really buy. I didn't buy the triangle. The triangle element. What do you think about the romance? Because I guess that kicks off the movie. Once you get past that weird intro, right, and you finally get to Bruce, we're introduced to the love dynamic, and we're sort of their relationship. Betty and Bruce's relationship is already in tatters, right?
Yeah,
and then
she broke up with him. Yeah, but they're still friendly, very friendly.
Yes.
Where she's not even because that's the thing that comes up later. Because in the beginning she says, "You found me," and then later she says, "I found you," or whatever.
Yeah,
they say, "I found you." That's a tracking line from both of them.
Yes,
and I found that interesting.
Yeah,
but
what's your thought on the relationship?
So in the beginning, the way it depicts it. So the relationship between Banner and her is very good. They're still on friendly terms. It's almost like they gave it a shot. Like maybe they went on a date or two, but it didn't work. But it doesn't even sound like that though, because from the behind the scenes, like the flashbacks, they were completely dating.
They were in it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like you could tell there's definitely they don't get along sometimes because he kind of mocks her in that one scene. Like, geez, Betty. Yeah. And then like, she's very, remember the scene, right? Where he's like, geez, Betty. Yeah. We'll talk about this again. Where I think like they're dating and she wants to get to know him better, but he's not being open because he's an introvert. And then she's being very over flirty with Talbot in the elevator. Yes. Like actually like biting her finger and like looking nervous and, flirtatious, but like that never goes anywhere. I almost wonder if there was like a deleted scene where maybe Talbot asked her out and then she like denies it, or maybe Bruce intercepts.
Yes. Do you wish that? So I'm kind of thinking about like Spider-Man 1, and I think Spider-Man 1 did a really good job with the Mary Jane, Peter Parker, Harry triangle.
Yes.
You bought that Peter loved her. You bought that she was sort of into him and kind of waiting and and then you get Harry who swoops in and he's kind of an asshole for doing that.
Yeah.
I do think that Hulk could have done a better job with the romance elements. I think we sort of rushed to a post, this is post breakup, and I'm like, I think I needed a bit more of relationship before.
I don't think they needed to be broken up. I don't think they needed to be broken up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the movie, I'm like, they didn't need to be broken up because that's one of the things that I really loved about this movie is that it's taking it so seriously. They're not winking at the character because Jennifer Connelly is giving like 11%, like out of 10, like an 11 when she's crying, like, I was going to watch you die and you were going to die. And she's like giving her all for this comic book movie. And it blew my mind. I'm like, she's selling this. Yeah. And with that much love, they didn't need to be broken up. Like, if anything, maybe they haven't dated yet. Yes. That could have been it, where they've been flirtatious, but they haven't gotten to that moment yet. And this accident sort of is the thing that makes her say, okay, Bruce, I almost lost you and I don't want to lose you. Let's have a relationship. And that could have led to, the funny incident that happened in the 2008 film where they can't have sex.
Yes.
That could have been in this one, but I felt like maybe that would have been too much winking because I feel like Ang Lee really took it seriously about this movie, about being fathers and sons.
Yes.
And not even fathers and sons, just offspring, because even Betty's dealing with father-daughter issues.
It's father issues. It's daddy issues.
Daddy issues, yeah. And I feel like he took it seriously, and maybe that's why he didn't really focus on the romance, because I think he was really just focusing on adult trauma.
Yeah. I think so. I got my Mike's to Clausen notes. My piece of paper. My piece of paper.
I didn't take any notes. I left them all on Twitter. On the Twitter.
Twitter.
Jack the Ripper.
Channeling Bill Burr here. Okay, we'll start with the credits. Start with the opening. The opening credits. I loved them.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I really liked them. It sort of reminded me like almost like a memory. Yeah. And just going through like all the things. I almost wondered if it was like a flashback to the end. Because I noticed like that big giant mushroom cloud in there. And I'm almost wondering like this is what they're picturing, what they're remembering, what Bruce is giving the father. Yeah, it's because in this beginning, because it looks like that, because at the end of the titles, it opens, like it comes to that mushroom cloud that's like deflating. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's connected to the ending.
Yes. Maybe.
Because it would make sense. It would make sense because the whole opening is about like the flashbacks of what the father did, and then like him as a child, and then like the abuse. And then like when it ends with like the Hulk like roaring or something, if I recall. But it ends with that cloud.
Something like that. Yeah.
I wonder.
I did enjoy them. There is a weird moment in the opening credits where you kind of where sort of the credits sort of stop, but it's still going in that sort of trippy memory. And you're like, wait, is the movie started? We started. Wait, what's going on? There's a little bit of mild confusion with that, but I did enjoy, and it's interesting to me that both this Hulk and 2008 Hulk sort of employ the same opening montage to kind of catch you up.
Yes,
they both just sort of, this is about the dad and that kind of stuff, and the other one it's like we're going to speed you up through the how he becomes Hulk thing and blah blah blah. But they both employ using the opening credits to catch you up so that you're not wasting a lot of time with
which I do appreciate.
Story. Yeah.
Because I believe at the 30-minute mark, it's the freaking when he gets hit by the gamma radiation, because it's like a minute 38 or 34 when Jennifer Connelly's like crying. I'm like, that's awesome. They have it on the stopwatch.
The gamma ray moment. What are your thoughts on that?
To make the budgets lower. Because I was thinking about that, like in every comic book, I feel like every comic book, it's usually on a desert field where they're like arming a bomb, huge, and he has to go out there and save little Rick. What was it, like Rick Jamison or something? Some kid. He has to go save Rick, who's like stuck out there on like barbed wire, or who's out there on a date or on like some drag race or whatever, and Bruce Banner has to save him, and then he gets hit by the gamma rays. But both movies do this. It was not even that, but I think the TV show as well. But like they do like this little thing that's in a lab where he gets shot by like a green gamma thing. But meanwhile, I always want to see the freaking Oppenheimer thing. I wanted to have like a big giant open field with a bomb going off with him getting hit. Because it would be more believable that he's like, why did he survive this? Because with this, it's almost like, I kind of see why he survived. Because if it's inside a building, it must be safe. Because like it just seems like a normal glass. It doesn't seem like a bulletproof or thick scientific glass that they're behind. Yeah.
Well, he's in the room. So the thing is, he's Banner is in the room when this machine shoots its radiation. So he takes the full brunt of it. So the glass is fine, but there's that weird like negative art. And what I loved about it reminded me of the Bill Bixby show. It reminded me of 1970s Hulk movie. And I think that's what I was enjoying about it initially, is you can tell where Ang Lee is taking all of these cues from the comics and from the Bixby stuff. And I was actually quite surprised, given this is a 2003 movie, that they actually went for an effect that was sort of underwhelming. Like when he gets hit, it's kind of like, oh, did he just get hit? Oh, and it's kind of played as nothing, but it also looks like a cheap 1970s moment.
Yeah,
but I like it. I weirdly like it. I'm like, it's underplayed massively and sort of cheesy, but I'm like, it kind of works.
Yeah, it kind of works because I know like it's probably a budget thing. They can't do too much.
Probably.
And oh God, speaking of like budget and that, I like that there's actual sets in this movie. This is just one of the sets because they actually had a set. They had a lab. Yeah. They had like a realistic looking laboratory on Berkeley high school, college or whatever, wherever they're working. Yeah. They actually had this real prop that was like a circle thing.
Yeah.
And later on in the movie, there's all these like locations that they actually went to film, and it's so weird because I'm so used to watching these Marvel movies where it just looks like they filmed in an empty warehouse.
Yes.
And it's like empty, and there's nothing to really touch.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird watching this movie, seeing like actual locations, actual places.
You must have felt the same when you rewatched X-Men, though.
Yes, that one just, it's funny. I don't want to bash it, but it felt like a TV show, but it was like so small and intimate, and it didn't go too big.
The first one, definitely. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. But this Hulk movie I like what they did with the opening, like 30 minutes, because they sped through the story. They got the flashbacks. You knew what you're going into.
And the army town, the army. I loved that.
Yes. I love that too. We'll get to it, but there's a part of that army town that just made me lose it. I was like, oh my
God. But no, in terms of sets, I'm saying like that's a really good. It's like,
that's a great set.
Somewhere and film somewhere, and then when it's
actually built
demolished, it's like this looks great shit.
Yeah,
like
it's so great. Yeah, they actually found locations, and it shocked me. Utterly just shocked me, for real.
Yeah. It's a shame because again, like you can look at Iron Man 1 and the first Hulk film and a bit of the first Avengers, and you still get interesting real locations. But yeah, if you look at Marvel now, it's just that 360 screen shit.
Yeah,
and I'm just
they even doing the Batman. Yeah.
Yes, except the Batman did it really well. They utilized that technology very well.
Yeah. Because you can't even tell. You can't even tell in the Batman. But in Marvel movies, it looks like a fuzzy background.
Yes. Sidebar. Yeah. I actually just bought the Batman on 4K.
The first step is admitting it. You're addicted.
We're gonna rewatch them. Rewatch it because I'm gonna do an episode on it in the future. In the future. But
he's a goddamn vigilante.
Goddamn vigilante. Yeah. No. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the visuals of Hulk.
Yes.
What did you think about the transition? That like comic book.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But the thing I really liked, that I really dug, and I mentioned it on Twitter, where I like the editing. It's sort of like the L cut, where they have like a line from the last scene going into the next scene.
Yes.
And like every scene sort of just like led into the next one. I was like, that kind of feels like a comic book. I like that. Or like line went into like the next thing, and I was like, that works. I like that.
Yes.
It felt like the movie was going faster than it was. I should say. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that's the thing. It because there are scenes that are if they were just filmed kind of sort of static or whatnot, they would be slow scenes. But because Ang Lee is really trying to employ comic book panels to each scene, where like they might be sitting there talking and we have a wide shot, and then suddenly we're close up of Banner, and then like we have another panel over here where it's Betty, and then it will swap to like a different weird point of view, and like you have like 3 different panels in one scene, and it really does feel like you're watching comic book panels. And there's a part of me that was like, you know what, that's kind of a gutsy move, because X-Men didn't do that, Spider-Man didn't do that. They took themselves a little bit more serious. Whereas this one was, the Hulk is taking itself seriously, but it's also a bit more willing to embrace the comic book roots, I think.
Yeah, because there's even shots where someone's like on the phone, like they're right here on the phone, but in the background I'm on the phone.
Yes,
they do that as well, where it's like that's also very comic book like.
Yes,
or even the part when they look at an old photograph and it starts moving and then it goes into that flashback. That is very comic book.
Yes.
Because you like look at comic book. Oh, damn, Red Letter Media posted a video. Shit. Damn it. I knew they would. Why can't they wait?
It's gonna be Star Trek, isn't it? It's gonna be a
No, it's Nightmare on Elm Street trivia.
Okay, that's fine then.
I like that one. Anyway, okay, so I do like the editing as well, where they're like saying a line and then it goes to the next scene, and then like there was another thing I'm trying to remember with the photograph in the flashback, where when you read a comic book, it usually does that, where they show the picture and then it goes into that thing and then it goes back to current time. I love that stuff, and they do that very well.
I'm just trying to like grab a comic book and see like.
Oh, did you notice the guy who was in this? Daniel Day Kim, I believe is his name. if I remember correctly. Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I mean, like panels like this is really what they were employing. Like you got this guy here pointing the gun, and like he's looking at the kid, you know, and it just sort of they would do this whole thing on the screen.
Because we were talking about Talbot and Betty, and there was that shot where Talbot is looking at Betty, and Betty's looking at Bruce, and they're all looking at each other, and they did the 3-panel thing.
Yes.
And normally you couldn't do that in a movie. You'd have to pick and choose or play all 3 at different times.
Yeah.
But I liked that they played it all at once just to save on that time to get the story rolling, which I did appreciate. And I did like how they did it because it worked. It worked for that moment because that's how real life is, where it's like it's all happening at once. You don't have, blah, da, 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 da. So I kind of feel like it's almost like a step into the comic books, that also like a step into the reality, because that's exactly how things play out when someone has an argument. You lock eyes with your friend, then you lock eyes with the guy you had an argument with.
Yes.
Oh, and Talbot. Speaking of Talbot, I feel like that's sort of like a reference to Wolfman, which references the Hulk, because how his name is Larry Talbot in the Wolfman, and that sort of relates to Hulk because Hulk is a guy who gets transfers into a monster, even though it's not the same character, but it's like a reference.
Hulk is you know this. I'm assuming you know this. Is Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, that too.
It's
all mixed there.
Stan Lee was like, I wanted to do Jekyll and Hyde as a superhero. So that's
and he was like, I saw Frankenstein as the superhero too, because he's the good guy. He doesn't want to do bad. I've seen the interviews because I think that's like the only interview people use where he's like, I want to do Jekyll and Hyde and Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the good guy.
yeah. But I guess that's the thing. He really, the character of the Hulk does fit really well with those sorts of
universal
monsters, because he is torn between his humanity and the monster.
And originally Hulk only became Hulk at night during the moon, if you recall, in the early issues.
I did not know that.
Yes. Okay.
In the
comic. When he's Gray Hulk in the first couple issues, he only turns to Hulk at night.
Oh, interesting.
And that kind of goes into this movie, because in this movie, the first 2 or 3 scenes when he becomes Hulk, it's at night. And I feel like it's going back to the roots of the comic book, because if you read that original Stan Lee, Bill Bixby comic book or whatever it was, he only becomes Hulk at night.
Oh, fascinating. That I didn't know. This is where like my comic book knowledge is better for Spider-Man and X-Men, but not as good for someone like the Hulk or like Captain America and shit like that.
Yeah, because because I think this one actually came with the first issue for the comic book. Because you know how they had the comic book with the action figure. I think that's what it was. So when I read that comic book, I was like, oh geez. So he was gray, and then he would only become Hulk at night. I was like, oh, that's interesting, because you just know that he becomes angry and becomes the Hulk. So, which everyone knows now.
Fascinating. Now you know, people. Now you know.
Because I think it was towards the 80s where they brought in the child abuse, where Hulk or Bruce Banner had child abuse.
The 80s.
Yeah. So they introduced that element, and they used it for this movie as well.
Yes. Here's a question about what did you think about the scene where we got like preteen Bruce?
I think it was a little much. I don't know if we needed it, but I think it was just there to show that he was adopted, clearly adopted by a loving family, so he wasn't abused. I think that's the only reason why it's there. Yeah. That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is important to know before you go into this movie, because without that scene, you just think of him as this weird, introverted weirdo. Meanwhile, he's having traumatic nightmares as a kid. Yeah. He's being raised right by an adoptive mother who cares about him and sees something special in him. Yeah. So I think that is important before you see this weirdo, introvert Bruce Banner in the movie. Yeah. Yeah.
It was... I didn't mind it, but I felt like, you maybe could have just done it in kind of the quicker montage. You could have sped through that a little bit more, because I do feel like the scene, I don't know, weirdly sort of pulled me out. I'm like, wait, how long are we going to spend with him as a preteen now? Like what's...
It was I thought it was brief. It's like that 2 scenes. It's like him waking up from a nightmare and then him sitting on the bed with the adoptive mom. I think it went by fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably would have. It was a complicated scene for me. I wasn't really sure if it was required. I almost would have been fine with it coming out in exposition, like, oh, you were adopted. Oh, okay. I had a good family. I would have almost been fine with a quick passing line of dialogue between him and Betty, being like,
I kind of feel like it's needed though, just because later on he's being snippy to Betty, like, "Oh, Betty, you're trying to get this out of me. I don't want to talk about it." And then you don't know if he was adopted or not if you didn't have those scenes. Like, sure, people could say it, but I kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of shows that he's always in smart. It's in his blood, because like later on, I think like General Ross is like, he went into the same damn thing as his father did. What do you mean he doesn't know? So it's like, it kind of sets that up that he's always been like a scientist, nerdy kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's something, man. The actors that they got to play the young versions.
Oh.
Fucking
Dude, that
awesome.
one guy sounded like Sam Elliott. Yes. Because he's yelling at David Banner in that scene. And I'm like, did they get Sam Elliott to dub him? Because he said like, "Damn it, Banner." And I was like, "Oh shit, he sounds like Elliott." Like, I wonder if he did a dub. It was. I don't know,
but it was even just the look, the voice. I was thinking about it today. I was like, oh, they would have done some stupid de-aging bullshit.
They would have done some stupid de-aging thing.
Yeah, and here they go. They got people who just really nailed the way that they look.
Because the David Banner, that's a very good casting for the young version. And I like that they got the mom to sort of look like Jennifer Connelly.
Yes.
That was a good choice. I was like, ooh, I like what they're kind of doing there, because he sort of has memories of her. And that explains why Betty calms him, because like she reminds him of his mother.
Yes.
And I feel like that's another important season. That's an important reason why that flashback with the mom, the adoptive mom, is there, because I feel like all the women in this movie are supportive to Bruce.
That's true. That is true.
Because like all the men are in like competition with Bruce in this movie. Even the Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno cameo, they even like are more manly than Eric Bana when he's walking in the scene.
Yeah. That was a fun cameo.
Yes. And they're talking about security, and freaking Lou Ferrigno's bursting out of his shirt. You know damn well if they had a shirt that fit him, and he says, "No, give me one size smaller.
No. I need one smaller.
One smaller, one size smaller."
Yeah.
But like that's important. That's an important scene. That's why they have all those women in the movie. They're all supportive for Bruce to show that women calm him, or that motherly touch.
Motherly calm.
Him. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is important.
The psychology of it is definitely the loving mother and the vengeful father, for sure.
Oh, dude, we were talking about that on Twitter last night. Yeah. Like, what do you mean about the father? I'm like, dude, it goes back. Like, I was noticing it with this movie.
Yes. Well, no, because you were talking about it in relation to Star Trek V, and that's when I was like, wait a minute, what? And then
I thought there was going to be more. It wasn't that much, though.
No.
It's just
that's why I was a little bit confused. Like, wait, Star Trek V? I was like, I don't think, but yeah.
Because I forgot where I saw the Star Trek scene. It was like recently, where it was like, you have to give me your pain. Give me your pain. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's sort of what happens at the end of Hulk. Let me rewatch Star Trek V to see if there's any more connecting things. But there isn't. It's like the only thing is Talbot, and then they give me your pain scene at the end.
Yes.
About the creator and the son. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But that stuff I found quite interesting. This sort of crazy father figure who is, kind of, it's almost like a twisted... It's almost like a twisted Jesus. You have the father who wants to do something good with his son, but then actually in that sort of Kronos situation, Kronos, the Titan god.
Yeah, explain to the audience at home.
Yeah, who created like Zeus, and he's the father of Zeus and Poseidon and all those Greek gods. He sort of realized that his kids are more powerful than him, and there's a threat to his existence, and so he wants to destroy them, and so he eats some of them up, but he doesn't eat Zeus for a particular reason. And you really get that vibe with Banner's father and Banner, this sort of
totally
because
David Banner just like, it's like he doesn't like Bruce Banner, he likes the Hulk. What's inside his son. And that's always what he's been after.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about he doesn't care about the flesh or who his son is. He cares about what is in him. And it's so weird. And we were talking about Cronus gobbling up his son. That's what he does at the freaking end. We're going to jump ahead a little bit here for the audience. But we have to talk about it because we're going to talk about David right now.
Yeah.
Because at the end, that's the whole thing. Because he just says, "Give me it. Give me your power. You owe that to me. That is not yours to have. That is mine." And it's so because I remember he's doing the self-testing because he wants it for him.
Yes.
But it goes into his son, and that must be so irritating for David. To know that this unworthy, because he didn't want a son from the sounds of it. It sounded like Betty or the mom, Bruce's mom wanted the son with David, but David didn't want the son. He wanted his creation. Yes. Oh my God. And it's just, that's why I don't get why people say this is a bad movie, because there's so much deep shit in this movie with this David Banner, even though it's kind of cheesy, like to you, to me, to humanity. But it's so good. Yeah, because at the end, he says, like, give me it. And he says, you want it, take it all. So he gives it all. But I also like how that also has to do with Bruce's trauma, because he says, the more you fight me, the more I take from you. And I was like, Jesus, that's exactly like if you hold all that, what do you call it, that guilt, that frustration, that anger, that fear, it's just going to eat you up. It's not going to go at that person. It's eating you inside. So you have to let that go.
Yeah.
And that's so good at the end, dude. I love this movie. What's your thoughts on this? When you watch the movie?
No, so that's the thing. Like, there's all this. So I get why people don't like it. To some degree. Obviously. So
some degree. So certain level, yes.
I think everything you're saying is correct, and I think there are. This is where I'm split on the movie, because I do agree that there are a lot of really interesting ideas. And that relationship between the father and son is interesting. The relationship between the father and daughter is interesting. Mm-hmm. That sort of psychological trauma, the experimenting on the child, all that stuff is fascinating, and it's dark. It's much darker than this bright movie. Leads you to kind of understand
the comic book panels and oversaturation.
Yeah. I think some of it is probably not going in because it's dude bros
contradictory.
Going to see it and families thinking, oh, I'm here to see Hulk smash and not Hulk with daddy issues. So all that stuff I thought was really good. I think the problem is, while all that stuff is there, to some degree, it's all a bit. It doesn't go deep. It doesn't go deep enough because the structure of the story is a little bit uneven. There's too much stuff getting in the way, allowing things to breathe enough.
Yeah.
So like we'll talk about Talbot for a second.
Talbot seems like something that was an idea, but they threw it away.
Yes.
And they didn't know what to do with it.
Like when he rocks up to Banner's house and fights him and makes Banner a whole
there's no explanation there. You're right. Yeah. Why is he there?
Why is he doing this?
And why did the security let him in?
Yeah. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So there were bits that's like
it's uneven.
Yeah. And I think it's that sort of stuff, because then towards the end of the movie, when Hulk is captured and he's held prisoner, and then Talbot's like, oh, I want him, and he's like all in crutches and shit like that, and he's just still going for it, and then he dies in that really awkward, almost looks like it should have been for 3D,
Oh yeah.
It was like, well, there was a lot of stuff that's just sort of wasted. With slowing the story down, I think.
Yeah, maybe like if they had like one more draft. I think if they got rid of the Talbot character, and maybe got rid of the dogs, because I feel like the dogs kind of throws the things off.
Yes,
because there's a good story going on.
Why does he want to kill Betty? It's the motivation is a bit weak, I think.
Yeah.
Also, the motivation for David to take a job as a janitor at the place where Banner works, where Bruce works, is that was also sort of weak and unexplained, and so you're
Yeah.
kind of like, wait, why are you here? What's the point of you being? Why are you here now? Where they could have there could have been a bit more.
I think that's kind of explained, but the gamma radiation thing is a happy accident because I think he's there trying to get DNA from his son because they show him picking hairs out from his office and then chopping it up and getting that DNA for himself. We're trying to.
Yes,
I
think we didn't need it to be a mystery. I think if the film just lent into Dad got arrested. Dad was because why was he let out of the prison where he was in jail for ages or whatever? Like
30 years. Yep, 30 years.
It's like, well, why was he let out? Like Ross is so like furious about it. It's like, well, what keep an eye on him then? Why don't you got people watching him then? Like if he's such a threat and you're so worried about him, surely you'd have people on him all the time. And you don't.
Nope.
And so I think it's all these little bits of plot consistency.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Where it's not perfect. Like the ideas are good.
Terrific ideas.
Perfect.
They're much bigger and better than what the film allows. Because then when you get into some of because a lot of the time is taken up with these big dumb action scenes.
Yeah,
like the poodles.
Poodles.
Yeah.
And it's not just because they're poodles; it's because it doesn't fit. Like if you take that out, it comes out of nowhere.
And similar to like when he's in the desert and he's flying and jumping around, and then he's in San Francisco, and you're just like, wait a minute. Like, oddly enough, I'm like, slow this stuff down, even though the film's already slow.
Yeah, well, I kind of like that just because of the fanboy.
Yeah.
It's like the only movie where they actually have Hulk bound. Because that's how he gets around in the comics. He freaking bounds.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I love that shit.
I'm not saying cut it out. I'm saying redo it.
Oh yeah, redo it. Like redo it. I'm just talking about because we're at the section now. I just want to talk about what I like about the section.
Yeah.
This is the part I was talking about because like there's a scene in the movie because like the whole movie is about like trauma and getting over and going to your past and trying to fix yourself. Yes. The part that made me go like, oh my god, and like I instantly fell into tears. I was like, oh my god, why? But it was the part when Hulk lands in front of his childhood home, and he's starting to get over it.
Yeah.
And as he's clicking in his head like, oh shit, this is where I grew up and let me get through this trauma, the house explodes. And I was like, oh my god.
Oh yes,
that hit me hard. I was like, Jesus, my god.
That's really good symbolism. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, that's some good shit. That's a good shit. That's why I'm like, there's like good pieces here. And because like when it's good, it's good.
Yes.
And when it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
Because this Because this movie is definitely like a bar graph, because it's like, or like a line graph, I should say.
Yes, because the other thing is like when you get to that final confrontation when David and Bruce are held prisoner and they're sitting across from each other, which it's like, why put them together like that? Whatever.
It doesn't make sense, but the thing I like about it is it seems like a stage play.
Yes,
it's only that, and that was the other thing I liked too, because like usually in all these movies, it's always a boring giant. We have to fight Darkseid for 48 minutes. We have to do this. We have to do that. I like that. It was no, seriously, for real. It's a 45-minute fight. I timed it. When me and Anthony watched it, it was a 45-minute fight. So even Man of Steel, where it's like the last hour, anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just a scene with two guys sitting on stage, talking to each other between this big giant electronic fryer that will kill both of them if they fuck up.
Yeah. I do like the visual of it, so I don't hate it totally. But again, I'm just like, maybe we could retweak the plot to make things make a bit more sense here. But because it is a good scene, but I also feel like, again, it's like I think we are missing between 2 to 3, maybe 4 scenes before we get to this point with them. And I just think we needed a few more dad scenes and a few more scenes of Bruce like seriously contemplating his past and doing a bit more. Again, if you cut the Talbot stuff and you made more of the movie about some sort of science experiment that he's working on while also investigating his past, something happens in his, Yeah,
that's true, because they never let him try to find a cure for it, because I feel like if he was trying to find a cure for himself, and while investigating his childhood, almost like he has to go back to the house
like
to find something.
Let's fix it. Let's try and fix it at the moment. What if the dad never broke out of jail? Ross has the dad under lock and key, and Betty's like, look, you know, he starts looking into his past, finds this weird connection between Ross, the base, and shit, and is like, I need you to talk to your dad about this. And the dad keeps the secret. And so there's this exploration of his past, trying to find the dad, and then, you know, maybe he breaks the dad out, maybe the dad gets out somehow or another, and then that leads to this big father-son confrontation, and I want to destroy my creation.
Here's my pitch.
Do it.
The father comes in at the end of the second act because they finally caught Bruce.
Yeah.
And they go to the underground base.
Yeah.
And down in the underground base, there's another man there, and it's his father, because he's already the absorbing man. And they have him locked down there with like something on his neck to keep him from absorbing.
Yes.
And then Talbot comes in and fucks everything up because he's power hungry.
That's it.
Because he probably says, wait a minute, I don't need to talk to the son. I need to talk to you. And then he tries to break out Talbot. No, Talbot tries to break out the father because the father's like, you know, you could just talk to me. I'm the guy who did this. And then he totally fucks with Talbot and just like kills Talbot as he breaks out. And then that causes Bruce to get angry because Bruce has probably been keeping himself cool this whole time. Yeah. And then when the father breaks out, he has to get out. And then that could be like the confrontation. Like they get up there and then maybe it's just Bruce, you know, Hulk just there. And then they could have that conversation of like, you know, I want what's inside you.
Yeah. And then
you control this.
Then you get that next, you jump into the third act of them leading towards this big confrontation.
Yes.
Yeah. That could work because that could salvage Talbot and that could give it a little bit more focus.
Yes.
That could have worked. That could have worked.
I think so. And it would give more reason for the underground base that mysteriously exists.
Yes. Underneath the old town.
Which makes sense because they arrested him and you don't see the father for years because he's been underground base.
Yes.
And it would make sense why he has crazy hair and all of that.
Yes. Yeah, because that was the thing. The kind of the cheesiness of stuff was like, well, why does the dad have these fucking dogs? Sorry, can you stop cursing because it's YouTube and they don't like it.
Oh, yeah, YouTube. Because he's only been out for a month and he has these 3 dogs and they're all trained. That's why
he's got these dogs, he's got this house, he's got this setup, all this stuff. And I'm like, where does he get all this stuff from? Where's he got the money? He's been in like what you know? It's those sort of things. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But if he was, that's why I think he was in captivity the whole time.
Yes.
And then Talbot,
as the absorbing man. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Talbot is one step ahead of Bruce, connects to the dad, and then you do what you just said. He goes to Talbot. Yeah.
And it would make more sense about his conversation about how the knife merged with the mom, because maybe the knife merged with him as he was fighting with the wife, and that would have been so cool.
Yes, he went to push the wife away, but the knife
was still in his hand because he probably tried to drop the knife, but it was still in his hand.
Yeah,
that would have been so good.
See the hand open like that, but the knife is still there.
That's good shit. We fixed this movie.
We did.
And this is our headcanon. This is our headcanon now for this movie.
Yeah.
Because that would make sense because he doesn't want to kill
that, and that's part of his crazy trauma and then the you know, then he sees the big green explosion, because the big green explosion was a little bit confusing at first to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a minute. Did Bruce was that his first Hulk out? And then I realized later that it's David blew up his lab.
Yeah, David blew up his lab. Yep.
Which destroyed everything. But I was kind of like, why would he blow up the entire village? Why would he Indiana Jones for this whole place? Because surely there would have been more casualties.
Yeah. But I think they had that alarm. It was good enough. Everyone stopped, drop, and cover enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But still, I think this would have been casualty. Would everyone gotten to safety in time? That's why it's weird that he got out. That's why I feel like his crime would have been a lifetime sentence, not 30 years.
So that's why it makes sense that he should have been underground, and then Talbot be like, "Oh, I could use this guy instead," and then freaking gets backstabbed instantly.
Yeah,
and then maybe even create him to become the leader. Maybe like a piece of blood drops on him on his head, and we can make Talbot the leader.
Yeah. That would have
leading
been
for a
good.
sequel.
That would have
Yeah.
been good.
Mhm.
Are you surprised this? Well, did this film make money? Did this film make money?
I think it flopped. Oh wait, hang on. I was mentioning earlier, but I dropped off. Daniel Day Kim was in the Hulk movie as a little cameo before he was famous, and then he was also in Spider-Man 2,
Wait,
which
who's
I
this
find
now?
weird. Daniel Day Kim. He's the guy from Lost. He was in Hulk and Spider-Man 2, which I find funny. I was like, oh geez, he's in 2 Marvel movies in the last couple of years.
Yeah, who was he in the Hulk? Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, he was like a soldier, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a soldier who comes in to see
Yes.
Sam Elliott.
Yes.
Dude, wasn't the casting great? In general, yeah, the casting is good in this movie. Jennifer Connelly.
Yes.
Can we talk about Jennifer Connelly?
We can talk about the wonderful Jennifer Connelly any day.
I was so distracted. I was watching this movie. I'm like, Jesus, she's beautiful. And then like I kept going. Every time she's on screen, like I don't know. I think it might be the hair thing too. That hanging hair and her looking to the side gets me. I like, damn, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like every shot. And like I think that's important too, because I remember comic books. So after the comic book, after this movie came out, I started reading comic books.
Yes.
I believe it was the Bruce Jones run. And whenever he thought of Betty, he thought of this beautiful woman like walking on the beach. And it reminded me of that scene when she's walking down the stairs and she just looks gorgeous. Like the wind's perfectly hitting her from the helicopter and her eyes are just gorgeous. And it just reminded me of that because it's in the comic books, or when Bruce needs to calm down, he thinks of Betty.
Yeah. The funny thing about it all was it's like, she's way too hot for him.
But it's Eric Bana. This is early 2000s Eric Bana. This is before Troy. Remember
yes, but what I mean is that we needed the other thing that I think was lacking, and this is back to the relationship stuff, is I needed to see what she loved about him. And I don't think that we
never saw it.
Got it.
Because he never opened up to her.
Yes.
So why does she like him?
Yes. And I think there's something there with her having daddy issues and like trying to get this person to love her who doesn't open up.
Right.
I think there's something
that probably
to
is.
That, but
there's probably
that's another bit where it's like they could have developed that
enough.
A little bit more. Cut some of the faff. Cut down.
I think she said like one line.
Yes.
She said like one line on the phone. It was the message machine thing. She said, well, I tried to talk to my father, and like as always, I was impatient with him. I guess that's how I am, trying to, impatient with guys in my life. And it was like when he's like getting angry, like, stop it. Because it's on the phone because he has to go save her.
Yeah.
No, wait, it's when he first hulks out.
No, sorry, the house, in his house. Yes.
It's in the lab, I think. Because in the lab, that's when he gets the message machine. Because he's looking at the blood work.
It's in the house. Yeah,
that's
in
right.
The lab. Yeah, the answer machine. Yeah, that's it.
That's right. Because I had to remember what point of the movie that's at. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first Hulk out scene. Now I got it. Okay, the first Hulk out scene.
It was pretty good.
It was good. It looked good, and because it was dark.
Yes, that's why it's good.
The scene with him walking towards his dad, where it's dark. There's some lighting, some dark, some shadow, the rain, the skin. That's the only time in the movie that I thought Hulk actually looked really good. I was like, this is a well composited scene.
Yes. And then it just looks painful. It looks painful in that part too. Yes. True Wolfman style, because it just looks like his bones are like he's like
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
So
that
good.
One was good. Later,
when he's like in the house and he punches the floor. Yeah.
the worst, I think the worst bit, and I think this is also partly where the Hulk lost people, is we're watching this character in broad daylight and the colors aren't right. He does look like a Nerf ball. He does look like a Nerf. And it's sad. But he also in broad daylight, it just doesn't look very good. You're kind of like, it's not as bad as what's that Red Letter Media best of the worst Bulk or something like that.
Purple Bulk.
Or
Invincible Bulk or something.
Yeah, it's not that bad, obviously, but there are moments where it's pretty darn bad. And I sort of feel like you were saying X-Men was a TV show. There were moments where I was like, I feel like I'm watching a made-for-TV movie now, particularly the San Francisco scene where he just randomly busts out of the ground, and there's that really awkward transition between him into Bruce, and it feels that cheap early 2000s CGI that I'm like, it was. It's a good.
I thought it worked.
I was
not
cringing.
all of it, but that part. Yeah,
I thought
cringing.
That worked. Yeah, I was like, ooh, that doesn't look good. That didn't look good.
I thought it was fine. It was from his back. But the thing is, I think they never nailed Hulk until 2012 with that Avengers movie. I feel like that's the closest we've gotten. Because
what's the problem with 2008?
I hate the Hulk. Don't even want to talk about him. It's
too
much.
No, I want to talk about it. Tell me why.
Why? It's too muscular. I want him to be. Him to be like 80s Bruce,
like an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of way.
Yeah, I want him to be chunky like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't want him to be ripped where it's like you could see muscle.
Right.
Because like when I look at my Hulk toys, it's like he's not buff. It's like sort of the chunky Arnold. Olympian
big and giant
kind of thing.
And scary and stuff.
Yeah. I don't want him ripped like on the cover of a Muscle magazine where he's been dehydrated for 3 months. No, I think he should be plump. And I feel like the 2012 one is the 2012 one specifically, because after that it sort of goes towards the Professor Hulk, and it's like even more not Hulk. Yeah. But 2012 was a good blend of the 2008 Hulk and the Ang Lee Hulk. Yeah, because in that one there's like they added like chest hair on him. He's muscly, but not too muscly, but you could still see like that bursting, stuff underneath. It's there. The pieces are there, and I don't think we ever see that again. Not really. In the rest of the series, no.
I agree with you. The Avengers Hulk Avengers 1 is the best on-screen Hulk that he looks, because he looks like a beast. And like the action figure that you just held up, he looks more like that in the face for sure. There's a more square monster, like the way his upper lip and jaw, like he looks more like that, and that's
You honestly, if the movie Hulk 2003 looked like this, I think it would have been okay.
Yeah, that could have worked.
Because even though this is the figure from the movie, but I feel like the figure improves on the movie.
Yes, yeah.
Looking at this, because he has the detail.
Let me put my glasses back on, and because that's the thing. Like when I look at that version of the face, I can say I'm like, oh yeah, that's from the movie, but it looks better than the movie.
Yeah, the body looks better than the movie.
Yeah, and also
that's so weird.
There's color to it. There's like the black. There's like some blackness and stuff. There's
there's like tone.
Shading.
Shading. Yep.
And
that's missing. In the movie.
Yes. Yeah. It looked too clean.
Clean.
I think
too
that's
gumpy.
Too clean CGI. And you think about. I know this is like, well, you've had, and this is where I'm almost like there's no real excuse, because 2003 Lord of the Rings just ended. So bullshit that you couldn't do it well.
And we had at least 3 Jurassic Park films by then.
Yes.
Even though the 3rd Jurassic Park film had iffy CGI.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking, because I'm thinking of the T-Rex fight with the Spinosaurus. Because that's that's like, ooh. But I feel like the only time before the big giant boom of animation and movies, I feel like the early movie that like really nailed it is Reign of Fire.
It's been so long since I've seen that. I remember it, but I don't remember it at all.
Because there's some good blending of CGI creatures in that movie where it looks realistic with the dragons. Even though the movie's kind of like but like the dragon action is so damn good in Reign of Fire.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Hulk. Something else that I think also didn't help it out.
Yes.
Is there's a sudden everyone just sort of suddenly realizes that there's something wrong with Bruce, and that Bruce is a problem. General Ross Ross has no reason to be suspect of Bruce.
The ID left in the lab
doesn't matter. It's his flipping lab where he works. Of course, his ID could be there. Betty's ID
could be security cameras
that we never saw. There was just no real.
Lou Ferrigno saw it.
He's like, I was trying to button my shirt and I saw it happen.
And Stanley's like, I saw him on the monitors.
I think the Bruce. This is a slide note. I think the Stanley cameo in the second Hulk movie is my favorite between the Hulk cameos, where
Mhm.
he drinks the drink that has Bruce's blood in it, and it like
Whoa.
whoa, yeah, I like that one. I think that's one of my favorite Stanley cameos. Anyway, I think that was the other problem is because both Betty, they're like, something's wrong with you, Bruce, da, 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 da. And I'm like, kind of, I can kind of see where you're going. You can kind of, but I'm like, I think we're missing. There could have been more mystery, more build up in the way that like Mary Jane is slowly figuring out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like there
Mm.
needed to be just a bit more, Betty be like, Dad, there's nothing wrong with Bruce. Like maybe the dad could be like, I need to know, we need to do some tests on him after this gamma bomb. Why is he not dead? And because he's thinking about his dad, right? He's thinking about the dad.
Yeah.
And then he's we need to do some tests, and Betty could be like, no, leave him alone. Blah, blah, blah. Like
I think my other issue with the movie is that Bruce doesn't give a shit what's happening to him.
that too.
Because he literally doesn't care. He woke up on his bed with
Yes.
no ID, no
Yeah.
clothes on, ripped pants, and he's
Yeah.
like, he's just eating
My
breakfast.
bad
like
knee's
care.
my great knee.
Well, that's okay, but I'm talking later on when he wakes up at home after exploding lab.
Yes.
He's just chilling and eating breakfast, and he's like, why is the government here? What do they have? It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you don't
Yeah.
have like any memory of that?
Yes.
It's
Well,
so
because
weird.
isn't that the moment where he's like, oh, just this, we're doing the
Oh, yeah,
heartbeat thing?
boom,
Boom.
boom.
Yeah. And
Boom.
it's an interesting scene, but I'm like, no. You need to be like
Kind of worried. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Why did I
Yeah.
blank out last night?
Yes, it would have been more interesting had he woken up somewhere, been freaked out by it, tried to keep it secret while he's trying to do experiments on himself to work out what the F is going on.
Just like the movie A Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
Never seen it.
Because I think you never seen it? Dude, oh my God. Okay, so there's for the folks at home. Reach! Okay, so in the 1990s, there was this movie called Wolf starring Jack Nicholson, and it's sort of the modern day Wolfman movie. So in the movie, he gets bit by a wolf during the trip, and then what gets him worried and like, Jesus, what's wrong with me, is that he wakes up in the middle of like Central Park covered in blood with like next to a deer carcass.
Oh, geez.
And he's like, oh, geez, what did I do?
Right.
And so we need something like that with Bruce. Like he like wakes up like on a high rise or something. We're like, oh, geez, how did I get up here?
We needed that. That's the thing that we needed. We needed something like that.
And then he's holding his pants and he gets home trying to keep away from Betty, and Betty's already waiting there. Like, what happened? What's going on?
Yes. And then and yeah, that can be her sign of like something's off, but I need to protect him from my dad.
Yes.
We needed that.
We're fixing this movie. We're fixing it.
I know.
Little fixes.
Yeah. I don't know why Hollywood doesn't just call me, because I can fix so many things. If they just talk it through, I can be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like, I genuinely think I'd be a good script doctor. Genuinely think I would. You would too.
What's your? I think so. What's your opinion on his kills in this movie? Because I feel like there's several points in this movie where they try to avoid Hulk killing people, and it comes off flimsy. Because there's a part in the movie when he jumps on a helicopter, it crashes, and that cockpit, he does a huge punch towards the cockpit that looks like it would kill them, but instantly, like seconds after his punch leaves that helicopter, you have an ADR line that says, "We're okay, but hurry, get him off us before he tears us apart." Meanwhile, in the cockpit, you see the CGI people going like, You
know what I think? I wouldn't be surprised if that was post
because
someone.
I think he kills the guy in the jet. Because I think that dude starts floating in space. He's not coming down safely.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, there's that moment. There were the bits with some of the helicopters. I'm like, he's definitely got to be killing people. Yeah, and I feel like the studio is probably thinking, wait, the Hulk is meant to be the hero. We can't have him murdering people.
We have to throw in this ADR line. We're okay, but get him off us before he tears us apart.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's always the really difficult thing with some of these Hulk movies. And I mean, that's what the Bill Bixby movies and TV show, I think did it quite well, because the Hulk does crazy things, but he's sort of a bit more targeted at his goal. And it's not just sort of mindless He's not kind of mindlessly just bashing. But this Hulk is just all rage, and so it puts it in that really murky territory. It's like, well, if he's kind of meant to be the hero, that's complicated.
Yeah, that's like, that must be the thing that screenwriters are writing. Like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Because in the early drafts, they wanted to do this as a comedy. They kept going between drama and comedy because they wanted to do drafts with like Adam Sandler as Bruce Banner or Jim Carrey as Bruce Banner.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because they could have gone a different path.
Mask and they thought, oh, this would be good. They're both green.
Yeah, totally. And like, I feel like that, like Jim Carrey, sort of like that character actor kind of thing, where he could like do that. Yeah. And he's skinny too. Yes. I think that's the other thing too, where you're like, oh, he has to go too big.
Yeah.
But like those were the ideas back then because they kept jumping between two different script ideas, and thankfully, like probably Blade and X-Men made it like, okay, let's go serious route. Let's go with Ang Lee.
Yes, because actually think about that, because you said it was 1999 or whatever when they were planning this.
It started in 1990, and then like it took years.
Oh, 1990. Okay, that's interesting because I'm thinking of the Batman movies and how camp those got.
Because they were probably basing it on that.
That
this was probably
sense.
97, 98, and then Batman and Robin flopped, so they're like, okay, let's not do comedy.
Yes.
And then Blade came out. Blade comes out. It's awesome. Makes huge bank. Marvel movie. Yeah. X-Men comes out. Huge bank. Serious. Yeah. So they're like, okay, let's go the serious route. Let's take it serious. And not only that, but like we mentioned earlier, 9/11 changes everything. So you have to go a little bit more serious.
That's probably another reason why they didn't want him killing people, killing military people, killing American military people.
Or even having like a straight up villain that would be like a terrorist or anything.
Yes.
They had to go with like the David Banner route as the abusive father and trying to
get at him. Because I think that's the other thing that's sort of missing is, and I do a
threat to the people. That's what it is, right?
Yes. And I this is where I think the second Hulk I enjoy a little bit more in terms of the initial thing is Bruce on the run, and then the problem is I need to stop this monster because it's an
abomination.
The abomination, yeah. And I'm like, that was good because that gave the Hulk a target. Like, okay, there we go. He's got something to go at. And this was the problem. It's like, I know the big buildup is meant to be towards the dad, but there's this weird sort of, is Talbot the main villain, but then he's suddenly dead? Is Ross the main villain, but it never really lands? Is the dad the main villain? It's kind of a bit muddy, but then he's the big climactic fight at the end with the dad. And so it's a bit like the focus was too off. It's like, what? Yeah. And again, that's probably why people don't like it.
Because they're trying to play it safe. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things we forget about history. Because I remember they changed the movie Scream because of Columbine. So Scream 3 had tons of rewrites. Yeah. So they had to change that. So there's things in history that change these movies that we sometimes forget about.
There was even there was a moment in time when they were discussing renaming the studio.
The Two Towers.
Two Towers.
Yes.
And there was a commercial with Spider-Man for Spider-Man
with 2 Towers. Yep.
Yeah. They cut that. It's on YouTube. You can watch it.
Yes, it's a fantastic teaser. It's probably one of the best teasers of all time. It's just sad that the Yeah. Because it's totally New York City. It's totally Spider-Man. It's iconic. Okay, for the folks at home, because there's probably people who don't know what we're talking about. So, no, I'm thinking.
It's true. I agree. It's true.
So you're like, what? So there's this teaser trailer because back in the day they would film these teaser trailers for the movie where it's not even clips from the movie. It's just teasing the movies coming out. They did this for the Hulk. They did this for War of the Worlds. They did it for Spider-Man. So in Spider-Man, there's this bank heist, and these guys escape on a helicopter. And as they're on the helicopter, they have a jarring, and they're like, "We can't move. What's going on?" And then the camera pulls away, and you see that Spider-Man made a big giant web between the Twin Towers, and the helicopter is stuck between the 2 towers. And they had to pull that teaser because, like, that year, 9/11 happened, and they had to take out that teaser.
Yeah.
But it's so good, though. It's a good teaser. I like that.
It is. The other thing that's quite funny, and this is back to the when should they know, when shouldn't they know? There's the big poodle fight.
Yes.
And Betty seems to not quite realize that that's Bruce at first.
Yeah.
She's a bit and it's a bit ambiguous for her. She's a bit like, what is this big monster? And she seems fine with this giant monster.
And it's kind of a scary reveal too, because she's just looking at this tree, and then you see his hand, and it goes up, and he's taller than the trees.
Yes, and
she's not. Yeah,
they're clearly like aping
King Kong.
Yeah, no pun intended there.
Aping. She's going bananas for Hulk.
Yeah, and I was like, well, she's really oddly calm given the fact that there's this 12-foot effing monster picking her up. And again, it's one of those moments where like the dogs come and he saves her, and so you're like, there could have been more done with what is he aware of, what isn't he aware of when he's the monster.
That's right, because when he's Bruce, he needs to go to see Betty, but somehow Hulk knows to go to Betty's house.
Yes,
I see what you're. Yes.
Yeah. Bit on the murky side, and I was also the other thing that was really stupid. She goes and she sees David, and he blatantly takes her scarf.
Right.
And she just sort of does, like, you walked in with the scarf, lady.
I think she just wanted to get the hell out of there because he got all creepy and sat next to her. I think that's the thing. Like, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, it genuinely was creepy, but I was like, what are you doing? Why'd you take your scarf off in the first place?
Because the script asked it to. The script said to leave the script.
The scarf is what he uses for the stupid dogs. And I'm like, if he hadn't, and then like, but then why did he kill her? Like, it's just,
yeah.
Those bits were murky for me.
Definitely, I see what you mean. After script writing this with you, screen doctoring it,
yeah.
These things could be fixed.
Music,
I like it. Well, that is Danny Elfman.
Yes.
Here's the thing. That's what I like about Hollywood. They're so stuck on Danny Elfman for these superhero movies. They can't get away from him. Nope. And the same thing with Tim Burton, because like Tim Burton, you made Batman, make Superman.
Yep.
You made Batman, make Planet of the Apes. You made Jurassic Park. Yeah. So I feel like he did all these themes for all these superheroes with Spider-Man, which is a great theme.
Yes.
Batman, great theme. Hulk. Yep. I'm going to say great theme. I like it.
Hulk is a great theme. I love the score. The score is a genuinely good score. I have it on my playlist. I'm like, this is really good. It's sad that it's attached to a film that is so uneven.
Yeah.
Because it is genuinely a very good score.
Yes. Oh, okay. So there's something, because like I feel like before we wrap up, there's some other ideas that I like. Yeah. So throughout the movie, we always see these close-up of spores and molds.
Yes.
And I was wondering if it meant something, because the whole movie, all these spores are different colors and not quite mixing. But like the final shot of the damn movie is all green. And I'm wondering if that's the whole movie. Like, it's not quite clear. What is it? It's orange. It's not perfect, but at the end, boom, perfect green. And I'm wondering if that represents him fully becoming the Hulk and be able to control his anger. Because at the end, he can clearly control it. It's not like he can just go off anger any time. Yes.
I think so. That I sort of vaguely remember the spory things, but maybe that is his.
I think so.
Body trying.
Because it's the final. Yeah,
getting to the point of control.
Because like when he lands in the desert and he's calm, it's almost like he's easing something out, and he's looking at these spores.
Yes.
But then he gets exploded and starts fighting again. But at the end of the movie, it's just solid green because it's the trees this time in what do you call it? Wherever, Borneo or Brazil.
Somewhere in South Africa or South America, rather.
Yeah. I think that's what that means. That's just an idea.
Maybe.
Like, Ang Lee must mean something by this.
Do you think the other? Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. This is a bigger thing. But go ahead.
No, mine is lame. You do yours first. Seriously.
Okay. So we were talking about David Banner being Kronos, and all his sons and daughters had to do with like elements. It's interesting in this movie that Bruce Banner Hulk has to fight the elements because his father becomes nature.
Yes,
he becomes the storm clouds with fire, with lightning, and then he becomes dirt, the earth, and then water. That's so cool. I thought that was neat. And that
Yes.
sort of goes how the guy Kronos was eating his children and sort of getting their power.
Yeah.
And
No. I love that. I actually, I really, some of those final scenes with him like jumping through the clouds and the lightning, and you see the dad's face and stuff like that in the clouds. Like that is genuinely
creative and awesome.
Very creative. Like there's some thought went into that. And this is again where I'm torn. It's like I don't want to totally trash on the film because there are genuine moments where I'm like, there's really good bits in this. I think, and I think, yeah, and I think that is one of them. I love the fact that's like, okay, who are we gonna? They don't have a solid villain, kind of, but when they do have the big bad villain at the end, it's like we're gonna have the Hulk fight the elements. And I'm like, that's insane.
That's so cool.
Interesting, because like, how is he going to fight water? He's being dragged in that dragged under in that pool, and and he's like, "Fine, take it all," and then it just overloads him.
That's so cool because that's Hulk's first words. It's him saying, "Take it all, take all my pain."
Yeah,
I feel your pain. Give me your pain. I need my pain. But he gives him all that energy, all that hate, all that crap, and then David's like, I can't take it. Take it back.
No, it's true. And it's like, because what I can't remember is how did Kronos die? Okay, so Kronos attempted to incinerate him by breathing fire, but Perseus uses the spear to pass through it into Kronos' mouth. Perseus tosses the spear down Kronos' throat, which causes him to so Perseus tosses the spear down Kronos' throat, which causes him to convulse and explode.
Exactly like the movie. Whoa. Ang Lee was onto something. He had good ideas here.
Yes. Because so all the three sons, I think it's the three, I think it's meant to be Perseus, Hades, and Zeus. All go up against him and they kill him. But that's fascinating. I think Ang Lee must have done. There must have been some inspiration. He must have been viewing David as Kronos. There's too much similarity of the vengeful father wanting to destroy his creation because he's afraid of it being more powerful than him, and then that creation eventually make explode. Yeah, there's that's too much of a coinkydink. The ask me.
Yes.
And it's like there's all these interesting elements, all these interesting ideas that like modern Marvel films, the writers are too
don't even deal with
stupid to know how to even incorporate them. Like imagine Ant-Man.
I know.
But here's hung up on their Baskin Robbins joke.
Oh, God. Here's the thing with Ant-Man. I understand that should be silly. That should be fun. I understand that. But like they should do something interesting with their other movies. Like, I don't know who they have. Hulk. Like Hulk. Do something with Hulk. Do something with Tony Stark instead of him learning not to use his technology. I gotta stop using my technology. I gotta stop being overprotected. He learned the same goddamn lesson 3 times. I'm sick of it. Dive into something else.
Same with
Thor is ridiculous. Oh, God. Who am I? What am I? Am I good enough to be Thor? Am I good enough being Thor? Am I good enough being Thor? And then even Thor 3 totally is a comic laugh amuck minute, even though he loses his father, he loses his homeland, he loses his people, he finds out there's a dark secret in his family, and it's like, oh, I'm Thor. And it's like, no, you're dealing with all this heavy shit. Yeah.
I always said that Thor Ragnarok should have actually been dark. Like it should have, because it's the lead up to Endgame. I know there was Captain Marvel, but who gives a shit about Captain Marvel? I know you love Brie Larson, but the movie is terrible. But I
Brie Larson is the best.
I always thought Thor Ragnarok should have been really, really, really dark. Like it should have ended on it should have been the Empire Strikes Back of the franchise.
It kind of was, but they do it with a smile. That's the thing.
And, yes. It's like, wait, no. You shouldn't be laughing. Well, I guess we'll find a new home somewhere else.
Yeah, because it gets destroyed. His home world gets destroyed. Yeah. He loses his father because him and his brother couldn't freaking get along.
Yeah.
It's like it's based on them. It's like everything is their fault of why everything's messed up. And like, because the father kept secrets. They kept secrets from each other. It's like everything, because the family wasn't open and talking about it.
Yes.
It's irritating. It's irritating how they
much darker, and then it gets even darker because you go into Endgame,
right?
And then but like that. Just the ending should have almost been a cliffhanger. It should have been Thanos' ship stopping theirs,
Yes.
and then poof, smack to black. Then you don't do that stupid Captain Marvel movie because it didn't need to be done, and then you go right into Endgame.
True. Okay, so let's get that taste out of our mouth. I want to mention something about the Hulk that I loved about this rewatch.
Yeah.
I like at the end, General Ross legitimately calls his daughter just to check in on her.
Yeah.
Even though it's about Bruce, but he calls in on his own to check in on her. And then he has to bring himself to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. And then she says, I know. And that just, it made me teary-eyed at the end. It's making me teary-eyed now, just thinking about like, even their relationship has bonded over this because he feels guilty about what happened to Bruce and she misses Bruce. And now that like all they have is each other now to help get them get through this. And I wish it was explored in the sequel, but that little moment is good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree. I think this is why what I was saying earlier. I think there's these really intense emotional relationships that aren't fully serviced. There's all these really great ideas and all these great tidbits, and it's like, oh, you know what? We should have tracked these relationships a little bit better, so that you kind of earn these moments a little bit more, because that was a good scene. That really was a good scene.
And you could tell they're actually thinking about it too, because where they film General Ross, he's in the middle of like the open, where there's like nothing there for him.
Yes.
There's like, because he's in the middle of the desert.
Yes.
Desolate desert, and he's just on the phone with her. And I thought that was so great. Like, there is nothing in this man's life anymore. It's a wasteland, and all he has to life and a relationship is his daughter, and she's still there. Because she's willing to forgive him at the end, because she says, I know you're sorry. And that's just, that's good shit.
It
but
was.
It pays off for me, but I don't know if it really pays off for the story. But it's good enough.
Yeah.
Right,
I think it probably doesn't fully pay off for the story because of the way it's handled. I think, again, if we go back to the way we fixed the story, if it was that he had kept David captured for all these years, and Ross's fear was the fact that he knew that David had experimented on Bruce.
Shit, yes.
That's why he didn't want her involved with him, blah, 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 blah. But he
being open.
Didn't want to tell her. Yeah. Then she could be like, I now understand why you did this. I understand.
Yeah, why you've been so cut off to me, and why you haven't really.
Why you didn't like Bruce? Why you wanted? Why you blah, 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 why you?
And why you're overprotective for me?
Yeah.
Shit, there's good pieces here, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. So it's like, I think, like you said, like 1 or 2 drafts more could have made this a classic movie. Could have been a classic, just like X-Men 2 and Spider-Man 1 and 2. Like, this could have been one you go.
This could have been
absolutely.
Because I think this is the first time I've gone back to it in ages. Even though, for those who are watching, I use this movie for like all my mashups. I've used it for real life. Right. I've used it for my King Kong versus Godzilla movie, the Godzilla Arcadia, and then I used it for my Batman versus Superman, and I'm probably going to use it for my freaking Green Lantern trailer.
What is it about this movie that you can keep going back to?
Jennifer Connelly, because legitimately it's Jennifer Connelly every time. Because for the real life, I wanted to use someone who was beautiful and sort of the same age as Tom Cruise, and my fan fiction came true. They were together in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, man.
That was so good. That made me tear up in the theater because I was like, oh, my God. I've been shipping them for like 10 years.
Maybe so Tom saw your video and thought, hey, yeah, she's still hot. Let's put her in the movie.
That'd be hilarious. Oh, that's another thing. I don't know if we ever mentioned in our past streams. Top Gun Maverick's like the first movie where he dealt with his age.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think we have talked about that. But
I don't think we have talked about that. That's a deep dive.
No.
Right? Yeah. I think we have to get into that because like every movie he's sort of young Tom Cruise or has like a young love interest. Yes. But like Maverick's the first movie he's like, I'm old. I need to have a love interest my age.
Yes.
Even though she's like maybe 5 or 10 years younger.
It's
but still closer.
It's more believable because he in The Mummy he had that blonde girl who was in Peaky Blinders who was like at least 20 years younger than him. Yeah. And she's a very attractive gal. But I was just like, I remember Red Letter Media making that joke. Like, you know, he has to have the contract 20 years younger, sort of. And it's like, yeah, that one didn't work for me.
And Oblivion, I think that girl, the Bond girl, is a little bit younger than him. That Olivia,
Oh,
Quantum
yeah.
of Solace girl. Yeah, whatever
Yes.
her name is.
That yes.
I know she's Russian. She was in Quantum of Solace. She was in Hitman
Yeah.
and Oblivion. Younger than Tom Cruise.
It's what's his face? It's Tim Burton's current love interest.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, she's like the new Helena Bonham Carter because she's very gothic-y like Helen.
Get the hell out.
Yeah.
If I gotta Google this.
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Oh my god. Yeah, because he always has his muses.
Yes.
Because he had like a huge muse, Lisa Marie, from 1991 to 2000. Oh no, he's dating Monica Bellucci. He's dating the Twin Peaks girl.
Oh, is he? Okay, well, look her up. Let's see if he dated her, because I'm pretty sure they were together for a bit. I just can't remember her name now.
I know, it's like Olga or Olivia. Oblivion.
Wait, no, Quantum's, no, her name isn't Olga.
It's like, it's something, yeah, it is Olga. Olga Korolianoko. Hang on, let me pull it up.
Wait, no, I think you said the girl from Casino Royale.
No, I said Quantum of Solace.
I was thinking Eva Green. Oh, I was thinking of Eva Green.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the other girl. The other Goyle.
Eva Green, Tim Burton. Eva Green is different directions.
Right here, this chick right here.
Oh.
Yeah, Olga.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yes. I guess I looked it up, and I guess they weren't together, but there were rumors that they were together. But yeah, Eva Green she was in a lot of his.
A muse, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, she was a muse for a hot minute.
Yeah, she was in Dumbo and that X-Men kind of movie with the kids.
Yeah, and she was in Dark Shadows. I think she was in Dark Shadows.
Oh shit, that's right. That's where I fell in love with her. I loved her in Dark Shadows.
Yeah, she was in Dark Shadows.
That was Dark Shadows.
Bad movie.
You didn't like it? To me, I felt like a 90. Okay, so my
35% on Rotten Tomatoes.
My devil's advocate for Dark Shadows is it's a straight up 90s movie. It is no different than Beverly Hills Billies. It is no different than the Addams Family movies.
Yeah.
Because it's just about a guy who wants money to save his family, and she wants to take the money. It's exactly the same thing, like all those movies. Even Beethoven, to a certain extent, had that kind of stuff.
Yes. Was she in Sleepy Hollow? I'm curious. Let me see.
No, that was his other muse. That was Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie was in Ed Wood. She was in Mars Attacks as the girl with the big giant blonde hair, and then she was the girl in Sleepy Hollow.
Right.
Yes.
Tim Burton, you weirdo.
I love him.
Burton. I mean,
for those who don't know, I made a filmography video with all his movies, so check that out on ChiefBrodyRules.com.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and I was going to say, is that all we have to say about Hulk? I don't know if there's anything else I
think I've gone through all my notes. I mean, it's interesting. I guess it's interesting. Like if you notice in the credits, Kevin Feige.
Yes.
He's looming around and all of. It's interesting to me that he, has all these.
He's always been there. Yeah.
Yes. And I do feel like it's one of those things where, because I think he sucks. I think he sucks now. I think he was good as like a producer who's in the background, but I think as someone who's creatively in control, I think he sucks. I think he's like the Blade Runner producers who thought that they knew better than Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
And
I think he needs to get like another showrunner.
Yeah.
Because if you see all these movies as like a season, like just picture like every Marvel movie is basically a season of television.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
I think he needs another showrunner because I think he had good ideas for that first 10 years. It worked out perfectly. I think it was beautiful. I'm not going to complain about that. If anything worked, that worked. But I feel like he needed to bring in someone else to bring in the next 10 years because I feel like he ran out of ideas and is sort of like, let's try this out and doesn't have a solid plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a shit about Krang. I'm not going to see those movies. I think the only one I'm going to see is Guardians.
Kang.
I think that's it.
Krang is from Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. He talks like this, right? I'm going to fight the Ant-Man.
Are you excited for the new Ninja Turtle movie?
Yes.
It was pretty good.
Yes, I like it because I realized after watching that trailer, I'm like, you know what? Even though I roll my eyes whenever they reboot it, but I feel like Ninja Turtles is like reboot proof. You can keep rebooting it because it's like a good premise, and you can always add something new to it. Because like the thing that they had to do to this is actually getting teenagers to voice the characters.
Yeah,
which I think is a wild idea.
It was weird though.
It's weird, but it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, because they're teenagers, duh.
Yeah. When I first heard, I was like, did they get like 6-year-olds to do this? And I thought, oh wait, yeah, no, that's just what teenagers sound like. High pitched.
They sound like that. Because that shit is hilarious too. Because I after seeing that, I'm like, oh, that's the lesson of the movie. It's about responsibility with your weapons and knowing when to fight. Because that blade going around, bing, bing, and landing in his leg, and like they're all one going, he's like, it's still in my leg. Yeah. Like that stuff is hilarious. But I'm like, oh, this is the lesson of the movie: responsibility.
Yeah, this is the first Ninja Turtle thing I've seen in many years that I'm like, oh, this is actually a reboot I'm interested in. Because like the thing is, that last live action one by Michael Bay was just absurd. They were why were they giants? Why were they huge? Well, they weren't teenagers.
I only saw the second one with because they filmed it in Buffalo. That's the only reason why I saw the second one.
Oh, did they? Okay, yeah. The second one was slightly better than the first, but it was still pretty terrible. But this one, I'm like, oh, this actually looks fun. I'm like, this looks my only complaint. The only complaint I have is April O'Neil.
Yeah.
And my complaint is, why is she
a teenager?
No, I don't mind her being a teenager. Is she meant to be a teenager?
It looked like a kid.
I couldn't tell. I just thought, why is she like some frumpy reporter from BuzzFeed?
Yeah, that's just the modern version. That's what it is.
But see, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm like, because the thing is, in the comics, the original comics, she was black. She was
yes.
The original.
I do remember that, and it cracks me up whenever all those people are like too woke. I'm like, dude, she was black in the comic.
Yeah, and I think what bugs me about it is like, okay, we're finally making her black, but we're gonna make her a big frumpy black girl. Like, could you, come on, make her legit April O'Neil, make her the Lois Lane of this franchise. Like, make her tough. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I guess it's like I struggle to picture her like running down the sewers with the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking of someone who's trying to like be quiet and investigate, and she's like wearing all these chains and like heavy gear, and it's like, you want to be like lean and be able to like hide and crouch.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing. Yeah. It's like, I think, I thought I was like, oh, great. Finally making her black like she was in the comics. Okay, well, now we're going to make her I'm like, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. This is I don't know. Velma or something like that. I never saw Velma. I just saw bits of Velma. Did you watch that?
No, of course not.
No.
I don't want to make a second season. Enough people did where I guess what they do is they make a certain amount of episodes either way. So they were always going to get a second season no matter what.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense.
I think that's how they do TV or animated shows, where they just make a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
And then chop it up into seasons.
I mean, the thing is, because like it wasn't very many episodes, was it? So like if you think of an old cartoon would have been like 20 episodes. You do.
And these days it's like 6 or 8 episodes, and easily they could have made like 16 episodes at the same time and just split it down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Any other films you're excited about?
John Wick comes out this week, and we'll see that tomorrow.
That does come out this week. I don't know if I'll see. I've never seen any of the John Wicks in cinema. I've only ever watched them at home in the comfort of my own home. And I don't think I've seen 3.
Really? Have you seen Nobody yet? Have you seen Nobody yet?
No. What is Nobody?
Damn it. Nobody is Bob Odenkirk as a John Wick type character, and I love it.
Oh, I wanted to see that. That was on my list for ages. I think it might have been on Netflix for a while, and then I never watched it.
I think you need to check it out tonight. It's a quick watch. It's like only 90 minutes. It's one of those old school movies where it's 90 minutes.
I need to. The plan tonight is I need to watch Casablanca.
My favorite movie, baby. Yeah.
So I think I saw it when I was a kid. Or I don't remember it so I don't remember. Basically, pre-show with Nicholas Meyer, he made a Casablanca reference, and I didn't get it. No. He was like a joke, and I didn't get it. And he was like, "Have you seen Casablanca?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Oh god, this guy hates me already. We're not even live, and he freaking hates me."
Oh my god, yeah, you gotta see Casablanca, because that's the one I always say. Like, if I were like, "Hey Frank, make a Star Wars movie," I would do Casablanca with Star Wars paint, for real.
Yeah, you mentioned. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. So yeah, we're gonna watch that tonight.
Yeah, watch that tonight.
Yeah,
and then pencil in Nobody for some time.
Yeah, that I'll do. We got the baby coming soon. The
baby.
baby. So that
With
there will be
my lady.
with my lady. So there'll be time for killing because the
Right, you're Jack the Ripper, fuck.
Jack the Ripper. There'll be time for watching stuff when the babies are first around because she will do next to nothing for the first few months other than just sleep and eat.
Oh my god!
Funny story. I don't know if Jake Dragish ever watches these shows, but if you do,
I don't think so.
I'm gonna tell a story about you, Jake. I had to laugh because when his child was first born, he was like, dude, I think we lucked out. This kid sleeps. It's quiet. It's great. Sleeps all the time. It's wonderful. Like we get full night. Like we thought we'd be up all the time, and I was like, give it time.
Give it time.
And then it was like, once it's like 4 months in, he's like, oh my god, this kid doesn't sleep. Like I'm so tired. I was like, yeah, you get that peace for a few months, and then the kid suddenly wakes up and it just wants to be up all the time. So, yeah, that'll be exciting. But yeah, so what other shows you got coming up?
Shows coming up. So let me plug my shows coming up. So next week. Oh wait, this weekend. Holy shit! Oh, I forgot. So this weekend, 2 p.m. Sunday, 6:30 p.m. your time. I'm going to be talking to Richard Jackson, one of my longtime friends on the internet. Finally going to be able to talk to him in person or not in person on here.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about Planet of the Apes. I just rewatched all of them. They're all great.
Aren't they just?
I can't believe it.
2 is the weakest, but it's still good.
Yeah, the only reason why 2 is bad is just because Charlton Heston didn't want to come back. Yes. That's the only reason why that's bad. Yes. Because you could have easily done a good story if he just said that. Yes. Like if you could have had the same movie, still ended with him, spoilers, blowing up the Earth, still ended that way, but he should have stayed instead of reintroducing Brent and going on this whole path.
Yes.
Once
Brent goes underground, like once it gets to that bit of the movie, that's when the movie starts. And that's when it's good.
Not even, because it's just more of like a more uninteresting way of discovering that it's Earth.
Yes, because he needs to rediscover that he needs to discover that it's Earth. But I'm just like, I just like that bit of like, if that was Chuck Heston, and we know that it's Earth, so he's going through their old New York and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm like, that's where the movie gets interesting. Like forget that he's learning that that's Earth. We're just going through ruined Earth. Like, oh, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. But I really liked rewatching all of them. There was things that I didn't understand as a kid that I understand now as an adult.
Like what?
And then
no, don't tell me. You can talk about it in your show.
I'm going to talk about it. That's right. I want to save it for the stream. That's right. I'm being very general here. But and then the last one, Battle through Planet of the Apes. I'll spoil this, but I felt like even though it was very low budget and you could tell they're being cheap on it, it's sort of a decent way to end the series.
Yeah.
Because it's about them trying to live in peace with the humans, and then the ultimate thing they learn is that even apes aren't perfect. Yes. Apes will kill ape, and no matter how they try to avoid hating each other, there's always that it doesn't matter if it's human or ape on ape or ape human. There's always some sort of conflict there, and they can never avoid that. And I had to do some numbers because they don't explain when it takes place. So I had to remember in Conquest, it takes place in 1991, and then Battle is 12 years later, so it takes place in 2003, aka Incredible Hulk. So,
oh my god, geez.
So, Battle for the Planet of the Apes takes place in 2003, and then it's 600 years later, where the lawgiver's giving a speech to the children, and it's still uneasy because the kid pulls the hair on the girl, and then the girl pushes the ape, and it's like, oh geez, even 600 years later, it's still not peaceful. But like, it still leaves it open, and I like how. I guess someone must got smart. After Planet of the Apes 2, they got smart and started leaving little Easter eggs and little names to build off of throughout the series, because I like how for Planet of the Apes 3, they go off the name that's name dropped like once in the first movie, Dr. Hessline. Dr. Hessline, Hessline becomes a character in the third movie, and then they explain that there's an ape called Aldo who says no. And this is where the apes and humans start their clash. And then the freaking Battle Planet of the Apes, we meet Aldo.
Yeah.
And we wonder if this is where the timeline differs. And it does, because Aldo ends up dying while falling off the tree branch, and it ends up a new highway lane because they keep talking about time as a highway.
Yeah.
And they changed the timeline, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about this with Richard Jackson, but I feel like I talked about it too much now. But it's so cool. I like that. It's so much more interesting.
But
so much more interesting than those stupid CGI movies. Because those stupid CGI movies are the same movie 3 times.
Yeah.
It's nothing interesting. Nothing stands
out. I never understood.
The love.
Yeah. I never got why Matt Reeves, who did Batman, the Batman. If he's so into imitating stuff, I guess. But I'm like, wait, did you not go back and look at how all 3 of these movies, or not 3, all 5 of these movies
are different,
except for 1 and 2. So four of the five are drastically different from the other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you not see where you could have done interesting stuff? Like, there's no reason why those movies, they could have just been the basic prequel to what led up to Planet of the Apes.
You know what I found out during this rewatch?
What?
It's more satisfying to see the gradual build to the rise. Because we know where it ends up with 1.
Yeah.
We see with the time splits in 3, and when the 4th one comes, the 4th one is like the best. I don't think because the first one's the greatest, but the 4th one is so freaking good because it's so rewarding. It's like, oh my God, this is it. This is the point where they rise up, and it's so rewarding. That whole movie is rewarding, and you could tell that Roddy McDowall is like on it. He's like, dude, I'm so excited to do this part of the movie, this part of the franchise, because it's all been building, and I feel like that's missing the prequel movies.
Oh yeah,
that's the whole point they're missing. They're missing that whole point of what made Conquest so beautiful and amazing.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. That. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to your chat. I'm looking forward to this because I love.
I know because we're spoiling this.
No one's gonna. Just it's fine. We won't spoil anymore. I'm very much looking forward to that because I love those old 8 movies. They are.
Yes. So I'm trying to think of another show. Oh yeah. So next week, because this weekend is Richard Jackson. Next week is Nostalgia Toys, and then after that, I don't really have anything planned until the 23rd with Sarah.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Tremors and Soul. That's going to be good. And then the next week
is Tremors and what?
Soul with Jamie Foxx.
Oh, Soul, yes. Yeah,
Pixar.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
So there's that. And then, what do you call it? What's the other thing I was just thinking of? Shit. Oh, after that is going to be my episode with my friend Tara about Disney.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
But I'm trying to find 2 spaces for slots. I don't know if he's still watching, but Sleeping Druid, I might have to contact him for an episode.
Come on, Sleeping Druid.
I might have to contact him. I'm waiting for the other person to contact me back because I know he's been busy. And I've been wanting to book him on my show for a long time, but I'm seeing if I could get him.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any show? What's upcoming for you? What's for your show?
What do I got? I'll advertise one that's already happened. My chat with Nicholas Meyer, the writer-director of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. We had a really cool chat for an hour and a half. That's on my show now, and worth checking out. Wednesday, I am speaking with Stephanie Zakowski, I believe is how you pronounce her name. I'll clarify that, but Stephanie Zakowski, who is she plays the Vulcan Tavine on Star Trek Picard, and she was also Hammerhead in Doom Patrol and other things. So it's going to be a fun conversation with an actor talking about how does an actor create the character, what sort of backstory do they give these characters that we don't see on screen, and just generally talking about her career. I want to do a bit of a mock inside the actor's studio and ask some of those
pile of cards.
Questions. Yeah.
When you get to the pearly gates, what are the words that you want God for you to say?
Yes.
What's your favorite swear word?
Yeah, I'm seriously. We're gonna do some of those. I'm gonna do some of those.
Yes.
I just think that would be fun.
Scrumtrolescent.
I at some point I'm gonna do a Picard review of a couple of episodes. Sometime in April, I'm gonna do me and my friend James. We were hanging out the other day and we started talking about the Batman, which is why I bought the Batman. We wanted to do. We were talking about it. We thought, we should do a predictions for Batman 2. So we're going to rewatch the Batman, do a bit of a review of the Batman, what we liked, didn't like, and then
About the Batman.
What we think will happen in the Batman 2.
The Batman.
And then can do an episode on David Fincher movies with another writer.
Ooh,
we're gonna chat 7, Fight Club, and Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. Even though I know you and I talked about it, but the author who's coming on my show, she wanted to talk about that. So we
totally.
Do that. And the end of April, I'm gonna do another episode with Jonathan Whitelaw. We're gonna do a complete review of The Mandalorian season 3. So that's April. That's all of April.
That's gonna be interesting. Oh my gosh,
got April booked, fully booked. But
I think at some point. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's another episode I got to do. So my nephews are watching later on. Nephews, I'm going to watch the Power Rangers show that's on Netflix. I promised them because my sister sent me the trailer and she said your nephews wanted you to make sure it's coming on. I'm like, I ain't never watched no Power Rangers. So my friend Anthony, he gave me a list of episodes to watch on YouTube for free. And then I'll watch those and then watch probably the movie because I own the movie on DVD because I got it from the $5 bin at Walmart one time.
Oh, right.
So I'll watch the episodes, watch the first movie, and then go into this nostalgia trip legacy sequel on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm a big fan of the original 5 Rangers. I like them a lot. But the ones that I like the most aren't in it. So I'm like, I don't know if I care. I really like the original Red Ranger. I like Jason, but I know that actor has
like legal issues or something.
He was like FBI raided his house like last year or the year before. And he's got some issues.
He's got issues.
I met him once at Comic-Con. It might be here. Hang on.
Hang on, podcast.
Just for fun. Hang on, podcast. Let me see. Well, first, here's me with Nichelle Nichols, the original Uhura.
Yes,
she was so sweet. And then,
dude, I can't believe Shatner's 92. Oh my god,
I know, right? There I am with the original Red Ranger.
Yes,
at a Comic-Con a few years back. I would have liked him to have been in it, but he's not. Also, the Pink Ranger's not in it, which is odd.
I know, that's so weird. It's like, how do you do without the Pink Ranger?
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I probably won't watch it, but I look forward to your review of it.
I have to watch it just because my nephew said so. I can't let them down. They like watching my show.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that as well.
Awesome.
And I got some things planned for June. I don't know if I should announce them yet, but I got some things.
You can tell me off.
Hey, yeah. Okay. So thank you for watching. Where can they contact you, Luke? Where can they send their complaints?
You can complain on YouTube. I am the Luke Deckard Show. You can complain at me there. You can watch my shorts.
Watch your shorts. Watch his shorts. They're so good.
Are they? I don't know. Okay. I'll tell you off screen.
No, off script. It's okay. They could contact you on YouTube. Contact you on Twitter.
Luke Deckard Show. Twitter, I am Luke Writes Crime. Instagram, I'm Luke Writes Crime. That's all.
Facebook. Oh, you don't have a Facebook page yet?
I have Facebook, but that's for friends only. So I'm not going to accept you. If I don't know you, I'm not going to accept you. So yeah, don't go to Facebook.
You can't sit with him.
Yeah, can't. That's private. But yeah, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. I guess I'm on whatchamacallit. I'm on TikTok. Everything is Luke Writes Crime except for YouTube, which is the Luke Deckard Show.
Mm-hmm.
Find me there.
But that's where you can send your customer service questions.
Yes.
And I am on Twitter as I Want My TV Now. Twitter. And on YouTube as I Want My TV Now. And I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it. I Want My TV Now.
Yeah. I think you should start.
I know. I know. It's just like a limp. It's like a limp muscle.
Yep.
It's like a tiny hand. Like
Deadpool's baby hand.
Yeah, my Twitter and YouTube is strong, but my Instagram is like.
This is your Instagram hand.
Oh, gross.
Captain Kirk,
92 years old. Damn, what a life.
I'm so annoyed at. I did my gosh darn show with Nick Meyer on his birthday, and I forgot to mention it. Not that anyone would notice or care, but I'm like, why didn't I just write a reminder? Why don't I just write reminders?
Dude, I can't believe he's 92. Man, what a career. Honestly, what a career. I know he's sort of like a crazy old man now, but he deserves it because he's done so much.
The thing is, I don't really think he's that crazy. I think he's always been like this. He's just a really funny guy who doesn't take crap. But he is genuinely a really funny. I mean, you
oh,
funny.
Absolutely.
He's genuinely a funny actor.
I've seen him on stage. I've met him in person. Yeah, I have all the respect for him. Although I wish he would meet Mike Stacklasa one day, but I know that won't happen. Just one day.
I do too. One of these days, I want to see him walk on that set.
That best of the worst set.
Yep.
And just have like Rich Evans like shake his hand.
Yeah.
And just have them bow to him.
That would
because I feel like we wouldn't have Red Letter Media without Shatner. I feel like
no, I don't think so.
And we wouldn't even have one of my favorite movies without Shatner. We wouldn't have Halloween.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Okay, we'll wrap it up. I'm Frank, and this is Luke.
I'm Luke. I have been Luke.
Enjoyed this episode. I have been Luke. I have been Frank. Let me be frank with you. So this has been a great episode. I think we've hopefully had people.
This was fun.
I like we doing breakdown. Oh, that's another episode we have to do in June. We have to break down Flash.
Yes, we do. I will.
I know you will have child. You will have child.
I will go try to see it. I will see it somehow, so that we can break it down.
Yep. So even if you have to do your other ways.
Yeah.
If you have to be Jack Sparrow.
Arg.
Okay.
Cool. Bye, everybody.
Okay, everybody. Bye. And broadcast.